5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello. Tonight, we are hosting an open panel discussion about the flat earth versus globe earth debate that recently took place on Modern Day Debates. Winston gets into Mercedes faced off against Mark Drysdale and Delco. I posted a link to the StreamYard stage and pinned it at the top of the comments. Please feel free to join the stage. However, priority will be given to those with cameras. Panelists should keep the discussion to the banner comment on the bottom of your screen during the open discussion. Eventually, we will transition into a back and forth format. I expect the show to last about 90 minutes, but if some of the debaters from modern day debates, such as Witsit, Mercedes, Mark Drysdale, or Delco's come on like they have before in the past, I expect it to go a little bit longer. I'm Ozian. I will be your host tonight. I hope you enjoy this show. If you wish to ask a panelist a question, please send a super chat and I will ensure it is asked. Alternatively, you can tag Matters Now, and if time permits, I will address your questions as well. At the end of the show, I was asked you to please subscribe to the show and click the like button if you enjoyed what you saw, and possibly become a channel member for 99 cents a month. But don't do so until you know we are worth it after the show. All right. I need to mute my stinking stream. That whole time, my stream was like going. Anyway, so I'm going to welcome the following to the stage who've been waiting patiently this entire time. Issa, welcome. Max, and Billy Bongs a lot. Billy, thank you. Welcome all to the stage. So as I described, we'll have a format for this show. We'll have a banner at the bottom of the screen. Justin gave me the go-ahead. Hey, start it. He is a host on this channel too, and he's also the moderator for the debate tonight. So that sort of helps that we have that going on. But oh yeah, Hugh man said they stopped watching 20 minutes ago. Sometimes those super chats go forever, don't they, guys? Jeez. All right. Yeah. So the first comment is just sort of a debate recap of the flat earth side. And we can take a moment because I'm sure the debate will be over soon. The super chats will be over soon. I'd like to talk about what we thought the flat earth side's argument was and what their debate strategy was and what you guys thought about it. Go ahead, Max. You can go first.
All right. As we wanted in the pre-show, there wasn't much evidence for the flat earth, more of a globe debunking situation. But I think today they did a really good job, both of them. I like Mercedes. She's accurate when she speaks. She's to the point. I'm sure we'll go into a few other things on the debate itself later, but I think they did a good job today, and nothing else for now.
Okay, it's fine. What about you, Issa? What did you think about the flat earth side, Mercedes and Witsit tonight?
They have a great synergy. They worked great as a team. They piggybacked off of each other. I think that they were able to seem like they were on the same page, which is necessary for a 2-on-2 debate. You have to be working well with your partner. It's not like a one-person show. So if you have a one-person show, there's a good chance their side is going to lose.
Depends on the one person, but yes, I felt like that in some of my debates where I felt like I was the only one presenting like an argument. Like so once they were just saying you're just delusional for believing this, so that was their entire argument. I was like, wow, dude, thanks. But anyways, Billy Bongs, what was your thoughts about that debate for the flat earth side? Do you think they presented any original arguments? What did you think of their performance?
I heard Witsit say a lot of things I always hear him say, and what he does too is that he says something that's actually maybe true, but then he adds on, or that may be speculative, and he even says that, but then he says that Oh, well, then that proves that because I said that. So that proves that. He says that a lot after he says something that may not actually be proven. But that's all I wanted to say mainly. Yeah.
Yeah, and Thomas Wolfe, that's a good point. Like, they always tell you to believe your senses, and until they don't show you the earth is flat, then don't believe your senses. Anyways, thought that was funny. Yeah, you don't have to click the like button now, as Max said, but if you do like it by the end of the show, please do that, please. Anyways, so we'll go to the next topic. I'm sure we'll get many more people to the show, but thank you all the viewers right now. We got 28 live viewers. It's awesome. We'll see what happens when they actually get done, because I imagine they have like 1,065 live viewers right now. It peaked over 1,200 live viewers during that debate, which is pretty good. I can't believe that. Okay, we'll talk about that later on. I'll star that, Mr. B. That's a good question. Be sure to tag Matters Now if you have any questions for the panel, and we'll go over it during the show. I posted a link to the stage in the pinned comment, and I will post it again into the chat if more people want to come up on stage. If you have a camera, that'd be best. I'm sure we'll get a lot of attention tonight, so we'll go with the cameras. Oh, let me give my view. I can give my view, right, of the flat Earth. I didn't hear an argument for the flat Earth. I heard a complete misunderstanding of electrostatics again, and Witz is not going to like this, but he's wrong about power flow. Power flow is from negative to positive. You can analyze it as positive and negative, or negative positive. It doesn't matter. That's what Feynman does in the paper. And in that paper that he quoted, Feynman does it both ways. In the front of the paper, he describes like the normal status, which is positive to negative, and then he talks about negative to positive power flow too from the sky. So he's just saying downward is from sky down, but that doesn't mean there's a downward force. It means there's electron flow normally from the ground up, because electrons are negative charged. Okay, this is the key here. That I don't know why I'm discussing this. We should discuss this later. But anyways, conventional flow is positive to negative. Current flow, electron flow, is negative positive. 1 amp of current is equal to a coulomb of electrons passing a given point in 1 second. That's 1 amp of current. So when they're talking amps, current flow, they're talking negative to positive. That's physics. When we do engineering, when we analyze circuits, it doesn't matter how you analyze the circuit when you build the circuit, because all the math works out the same as long as you keep the convention the same when analyzing current. Somebody's bumping their mic. But anyways, but in the real world, like as far as we know under physics, it's negative positive. So when he says it's positive to negative, he is committing a reification fallacy. He is saying without evidence, because in the normal world, it's negative to positive. So when he says he can hook a generator up to positive and negative, he has to connect it to the positive source on the generator if it's a DC generator, and the ground to the negative. That's all. But the flow is actually from the ground grid, where the electrons are, up to the anode side. So you got the cathode that generates the electrons, and they circle around, go to the anode, and you got this law called Kirchhoff's law, which is the sum of all the voltage drops must be equal to 0. So like in my debate with Caleb, where he says there's this magical negative with no like positive reference if you flip your leads. So all you have to do, if you have your leads like this, the lead up in the sky up here and your lead down to the ground here, you're going to read positive. If you flip your leads, you're going to read negative. That's it. Like, but if you keep the polarity right, the ground is negative. So that's it. It's a silly argument. It doesn't support any of the claims they're making, but that's the point I want to make. Yeah, and as Daryl Frost says, when he's appealing to the Van der Graaf generator, that's electrostatics, which doesn't have current flow. It's about polarity repels, and dissimilar polarities repel each other. Did I say the backward? So positive and negative attract each other, and positive repel each other. So Van de Graaff generators work by when you put like the piece of material on the positive plate, that piece of material becomes charged with positive charge, and it gets repelled by the positive plate, and it goes up to the negative plate. That's all he's doing. If you flip the polarities on the plates on the Van de Graaff generator, do the same thing, the thing will go in the same direction. That's just about attraction and repulsion of electrostatics. It's not about current flow at all. So when you're conflating current flow, when you're talking about atmosphere creating power generation with the electrostatics, you're actually committing a what's a fallacy? Equivocation fallacy. So he's equivocating the two concepts. Oh, look, we also have Leo. Maybe he knows a little bit about electrostatics and power flow and current flow and all that. And as Rodman said, yeah, lightning goes both ways. Anyways, let's go to tag me if you got questions, and I'll ask them at the end. I'm not even following my own rules here. But let's go to the next thing. Oh, we'll ask you, Leo. What did you think about the flat Earth debate? Did you watch it? Like Witsit and Mercedes' argument.
Unmute. Thank you. Yeah, I watched it. I mean, it was kind of what I expected for a flat Earth debate. I was actually quite impressed with Delco and like how he kept kind of taking those little jabs at Witsit, because that's just how you have to treat somebody like Witsit, because they try to do that, and I mean he sucks at it, but he still tries to do it. So I was impressed with his performance, but also Mark. I've seen Mark do a lot of different debates, and I've always been just impressed with, he's sort of this no bullshit, here are the facts, what do you think about that kind of person. And he's one of those people that if you don't answer a question or anything like that, if you try to dodge or run,
you're roboting.
He'll be like,
you're
hey,
roboting.
no, you're not answering.
Leo, you're roboting really bad. Yeah, and somebody's correcting me.
Fix that.
You're better now, but somebody's correcting me. A generator makes electricity. That's correct. So I got it backwards. Thank you very much, Stinger News. I don't know if he said generator or motor, and I mess that up all the time. But you're right. Generator produces, a motor consumes. So thank you, Stinger. But yeah, we were talking about the performance of the flat earthers. We'll get to the globists next. So do you think Witsit and Mercedes presented a good argument at all during that debate, or?
I didn't even hear an argument from them.
Okay.
Here we go.
Never do flat earthers.
Yeah, I think that's been the consensus going around. It looks like the debate's over. They're doing their thing, and it's over now. So finally, the debate's over. We're still on our recap. So welcome everybody that's coming from the debate right now. If you are coming from the debate, I posted a link to the debate. If you want any questions, be sure to tag @MattersNow or super chat it. I actually got corrected already. I made a mistake, and thank you very much. I accept that. I'm making a mistake between motors and generators. But let's go to the next person, and Anathema. Did you watch the debate? I know you did, because I saw you in the live chat. Did you think Witsit and Mercedes presented an argument tonight?
I mean, they presented an argument. What would I say? It's a great argument. No. Actually, they won the poll by like 10%, 45 to 55 flat versus globe. And I didn't have a third option in there, so.
Yeah, that's better. I like that. But that's still, Witsit draws an audience also. So like those polls are not scientific, but I mean, Witsit generally wins those polls. That's not surprising to me.
I try not to put a joke third option in for the who's winning the debate for the last hour, because I don't want it to be too skewed. But yeah, I was actually surprised. Usually it's the last couple I did like that. Even with Witsit, it was like 57, 58 at the end for globe, but this time 55, 56 in favor of flat. I was kind of surprised to see that.
I was asked to put on a slow mode. I'm going to do a 10-second slow mode. So keep your responses pithy and to the point. If you have any questions for the panelists, send in a super chat and I'll ask the questions. Or you can tag @MattersNow and I'll start. And if I get time, I'll get to it during the open panel discussion. And if
So
you wish to,
sorry,
go ahead.
sorry. Is my mic okay?
Yes, your mic's okay. Thank you very much. If you wish to come up on stage, people with cameras will have preference. And I pinned the link to the StreamYard
Oops.
on the top of the live chat, unless somebody removed it or something. But and we have Dr. J. So we're still doing the Flat Earth recap. Dr. J, what did you think about Witsit's and Mercedes' opening argument, their debate style, overall performance?
I thought they did well. I think Witsit debates this 800 million times. I thought when Mercedes wasn't sure of herself, he covered for her. And the other two weren't prepared. So I'm not saying they didn't know anything or they're not knowledgeable or anything like that. But compared to Witsit's last debate, where the person he debated was very prepared for Witsit and had a really good intro and whatnot, I felt like this time Witsit and Mercedes did a good job. They were, Witsit probably doesn't prep for these debates, but he's done 800 million of them, so he's good at them.
Yeah, I have the same sentiment. I didn't hear an argument per se, sort of like skepticism of the globe model and some things about electrostatics. But I think hopefully we get some flat earthers. We had some flat earthers on the panel, I think 2 of them in the pre-show. So if you guys go back and watch the pre-show, we talked about the debate before it started. And anybody watching now, if you want to watch the pre-show before the debates and get redirected to the debate when the debate starts, please come on to our channel.
Did you get an invite over to Austin? I'm assuming, yeah.
Austin. I don't understand the question.
Did you give a link?
Did you get an invite
for the stream?
Yeah, for this.
I posted the invite to the comments, live chat. Anyways, yeah, it's pinned in the comments. So debate recap, Globe Earth. We'll go around the table, the panel. Max, what do you think about we sort of talked about it too, but what did you think about Mark Drysdale's and Delco's opening argument, their debate tactics, and the overall performance?
I think the Globe could have done better today. I like Mark. I watched a couple of his debates since I saw him last on the after show here because I didn't know who he was. And I did like his debates. I watched one with Darth Dawkins and a couple of other ones. And as we mentioned in the pre-show, he kind of adapts to who his opponent is. And he's, for the most part, very polite. I think today was a bit of an outlier for him. He interrupted a bit more than he does usual. And I didn't like Delco's at all. Contrary to what Leo thinks, I don't think those jabs that he made, in this case, I think they were a bit gratuitous. I don't think Witsit said anything to deserve any of the jokes or quips that Delco's made. So I think the Globe could have done better today.
Okay, what about you, Issa? We'll turn it over to you. What did you think about their opening and their debate style?
I wasn't impressed. They had very poor synergy, which is not good on a 2-on-2 debate. You got to work with your partner. I felt Delcos was extremely smug and condescending, which is not good. I do hear what Leo was saying, and I understand that, and I grant that this, you have a certain kind of approach with Witsit. But the thing is, you're on a 2. If that was on a 1-on-1 debate, maybe that could have worked. But this is a 2-on-2 debate. He needed to work with Mark, and he disappeared like halfway through the debate. I heard it was something to do with power. That doesn't look good. I get that these things happen, but in your debate presentation, when a partner just takes off and the other person holds it down for the rest of it, you look really unprofessional. You really look like you don't have your stuff together. There wasn't really a game plan. Unlike the Flat Earth, where they work together, and if there were certain kinds of gaps, like if Mercedes didn't know certain information, Witsit covered. Witsit then appealed to Mercedes to help support a certain argument. That worked really, really well. these two, it just seemed like pretty much Delcos was dominating the first part of the conversation, and then he disappears, and then Drysdale, Mark came in, and I just felt it was completely hackney-eyed and skewed, and it didn't work.
Okay. Let's go around. We'll go to Billy. What did you think? You got Flatman B. I'm going to allow you on stage. I don't know you, but that's okay. Welcome to the stage. But we're going around the list. We're going to talk about how the Globe Earth performance did, but we'll give you a chance to speak to both sides when it gets to you. Does your mic work there, Flatman B?
Can you hear me good?
Yep. Sounds
Yes.
great, bud. So we're going to go to Billy, though, next. Billy, go ahead. And just so you know, if this is the first time here, we try to have an open panel discussion. Not open panel, but allow every panelist to talk about their views of the debate. Sometimes
Yeah, I've watched your show before, sir.
Oh, thank you very much. Go ahead, Billy.
I don't really have much to say. More to add to what Max and Isa said. I think they said it pretty good so far, so I'm just going to leave it at that. Let someone else go.
Okay. And Leo already talked about it, but you can go ahead now. What do you think about Mark's and Delco's performance, Leo?
Well, I don't really think that they had a poor performance. I think what happened was I agree with Issa that there wasn't much synergy between them, and that's pretty important. But I think they both kind of just were a bit dismissive of the topic, you know. And the thing is, I don't think it's wrong for people defending Globe to kind of have that attitude where like this really isn't serious, because it isn't. It really isn't serious. So I think that kind of attitude is actually more of a good thing, because it gives off that impression of a lack of seriousness to the idea that the Earth could be flat. It's hard for me to get upset with some of the condescension that Delcos threw out, because Whitsitt just drips it when he speaks in general. Like, I don't know how anybody could deny that. So I don't think throwing a little bit back in his face is a bad thing. And in fact, I have found myself that doing it is sometimes beneficial, you know. What was the other thing I wanted to say? Somebody had mentioned something about Whitsitt jumping in for Mercedes when she didn't seem to understand something or know something. And I just wanted to say I very much agree with that. I've been in a debate with Mercedes. I probably wouldn't do it again. So I just wanted to say that point, I agreed with that point. I noticed that too. I'm not surprised Whitsitt did that. But other than that, yeah, I don't think Mark and Delcos did too bad. I mean, you kind of got to go with the topic that you're discussing and who you're discussing it with when you approach debates. You shouldn't have just the same generic, bland, formal approach in every debate. You've got to tailor it, particularly on a platform like a modern day debate. You also have to understand the audience. You're probably going to get to them a lot better if you're a little bit showy about it, because that's kind of what those people are there for. So if you can be just a little bit showy, but also still like have points to make and kind of blend that together, I tend to think that actually does pretty well with the MDD audience. And I'll just leave it there.
Thank you, Leo. And I got two more people. I don't know if I can let both up, but I'll try. Pizio 8 Etheric. I got you up. Can just do a mic check. Okay. And then Samir.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I'm just going to. Okay, you muted yourself. That's fine. Okay.
M?
And M is Samir. Samir's been on here before too.
Okay.
Thank you, Samir. It's Flat Earth Debate. I don't know if this is your wheelhouse, but you're welcome. You want to do a mic check, Samir?
Yes, sure. Hi, everyone. Can you guys hear me?
Certainly
Yes,
can
loud
hear
and
you.
Awesome. Awesome.
Well, we're going to go
Okay.
around the panel. So I do want to, like Leo, I do want to ask you a question, though. If you're in a team, is it appropriate to ask your team member to respond if they're more like, if they understand that topic? Is sort of why you get teams.
Well,
Like,
I mean,
you know,
if there's like some specific, like say that me and Mark Reed were debating a couple of theists on, you know, like, is atheism true or does God exist or something like that. And one of the theists brought up the problem of evil, and then Mark, makes a quick response and then says, "I'm going to let Leo talk here because he's pretty good with the problem of evil." Something like that, yes, but there wasn't like a specific. It didn't ever seem to me that there was like a specific thing that Witsit knew better than Mercedes, rather than Mercedes simply just being asked a hard question she kind of choked on, and Witsit jumping in to save her. That's what it looked like more to me, rather than the example that I gave, where it's kind of something quite specified that your partner might actually kind of be able to handle better.
All right.
Can I touch on that? Actually, I had an example during the show that I saw that he didn't respond, and he did have a better answer.
Okay.
He didn't correct her on the satellites and on GPS because she went with like it's all ground based answer, right? And in the model that Witsit has, he doesn't believe that satellites are fake, right? He just disagrees with the position of exactly what they're doing and exactly how they're working.
Yeah. That's what happens when you don't have the same worldview too, and you're both on the same team. That can happen. I've had that happen in debates too, but where the other person had entirely different views than I did, and we're like partners for debate, and it becomes sort of hard sometimes to get on the same page. We have Justin in the background if anybody wants to leave the stage. Allow Justin up. Anyways, Shane, it's you, bud. What did you think of Witsit's and Mercedes' performance tonight?
Again, like a few others have said, Issa summed it up pretty perfectly. I would probably disagree with something, Leo, that you said about the not serious aspect. It's like, obviously me, you, and probably many others share that thought. Like if I'm in the Discord debating somebody on Flat Earth, I don't take it seriously because I don't have to. But I feel like if they're signing up for a 2v2 debate on that platform, they should probably take it seriously because Witsit is going to take it seriously. Another thing is he's gotten a lot better at I would say, I don't want to say being respectful, not just going right into the logical fallacy, you're attacking me type of thing. So I felt that the Globe side dropped the ball. I think Mark maybe after his partner vanished for a long time, which may reflect in some of those poll results. I'm glad Witsit stuck up for his partner, and I believe there's an occasion or two where he said, "Hey, I actually want to hear her be able to flesh some of her ideas out in the future that didn't get to happen tonight." And I mean, yeah, I this is crazy to say, but I do agree with something Witsit said on this very show recently, that he's been working on his debate style and trying to improve, and I think it's reflected. I think I actually see it in a positive way, even though I disagree with all of his arguments, every single one of them.
I said the same thing in the pre-show, that he's getting a lot better at that, exactly that.
And again, I think it was reflected in to some extent in tonight's poll, because usually it's far in the other direction on what side's winning the debate. Yeah. There was something else, but if the prompt is just how Witsit and Mercedes did, then I would like, I guess, to maybe I don't know if the word be more prepared for her to back up some of her claims and arguments in the future. Be nice to see more instead of the partner having to do most of the legwork for her. But other than that, I think they did fine for defending a flat Earth position. God forgive me.
Right. Dr. J, next down the list. What was your opinion on Witsit's and Mercedes' performance tonight?
Yeah, I thought they did good. I thought they had good synergy together. I kind of had made the comment that Witsit covered for her, and I think he did it really, really well. He didn't always necessarily jump in, and I thought him throwing the ball to her on questions he thought she could handle, I thought he was doing that. I thought, well, Mercedes, why don't you talk about that? Because he thought it was something she could do. And even the example of him not disagreeing with her, that's smart. You don't want to fight with your partner publicly, right? So not saying, well, Mercedes, that's not right. I don't even think that. You got to be real careful if you're going to do that. So I thought they had super good synergy. I think Witsit is just really slick. He's really, really slick. And, he's kind of built this wall of fallacies that every evidence you present to him is a fallacy. And so he's unprovable of anything because it's all a fallacy. And sometimes he's right about his fallacy, sometimes he's not. But I thought they did a good job. I thought they did a very good job as a team. And Mercedes helps with the softness, right? The sort of edge of Witsit gets ground off a little bit by the niceness of Mercedes, and I thought that was good for him as well.
Thank you, Dr. J. Seems like everybody's agreeing so far. What about you, Flatman B? What was your opinion of Mercedes and Witsit's argument tonight and debate style?
Yeah, Mercedes is new on the scene, so I think she did pretty good for being, putting herself out there like that. Obviously, Austin's a vet, he knows what he's doing. They did a pretty good job. Unfortunately, I'll be short and concise here. I think the Globe side could have done a lot better. I'll leave it at that.
Thank you.
Agreed.
And Samir, what was your opinion about them tonight?
I believe that Witsit and Mercedes did horrible tonight, and I'm not talking about presentation, so I'm not misunderstood. I believe especially Witsit. I would say Mercedes, in my opinion, is less guilty of that because for some reason I feel like she might truly believe what she's saying. As far as Witsit, I honestly feel like he's bluffing his way around in every debate. He's regurgitating everything that he said in every single debate every time. He's dodging the questions. He's answering the questions in a way that's like almost being sarcastic. An example, I spent a super chat last time to ask him about if I travel east from New York to London to Beijing and find myself back in New York, traveling east the whole time. How does that happen? He grabs a piece of paper and he draws a circle on a two-dimensional piece of paper, and he said that's how it would work on the flat Earth. And we know that is silly answer, but he still would go with it and would just dodge the question. And there goes your super chat. And today I asked a couple of questions again, and I felt like he dodged them the same way. I don't feel bad about the money I spent asking the questions because I like to support the channel, but I feel like the audience questions should be taken a little more seriously and should be answered in a way that is that respects their intellect, like not just throw whatever at them. Like when I asked how come tonight, I asked them how come it is noon in Beijing right now. Like how do you explain that? And then they try to show me in a two-dimensional Earth again that there is a sun, a small sun that is like spinning like above all the countries on the flat Earth, and the sun never disappears. It just gets dim enough to where some people don't see it, and that is totally silly. We see actually the sun set everywhere in the world. We don't see the sun just disappear into nothing. And then he would just go with silly answers like this, and then we'll move on to the next question. And he's not coming up with anything new. But you know what?
I think I actually did. I misspeak. I think I got it back. Did I get it backwards? No, I didn't. Never mind.
What are you
Sorry
talking
about
about?
that, Samir. I did really quick, Samir. UDF, I'll get you up in a moment. Continue on, Samir.
I feel like almost like going to watch a comedy show, following a comedian in different cities, and you watch the same comedy show every time to the point where it doesn't make you laugh anymore. I feel like that's what it is. There is nothing new. It's all the same answers. None of them make sense. None of them are reasonable. and they regurgitated every time in every debate. But I'll give him one thing: he's got the one-man show, the presentation where he would defeat his opponent just based on how fast he would talk, how he would mock him, and then he would also use this pity strategy where he would insult himself and then claim that the opponent insult him. So he would say, "Oh, so you're saying I'm stupid because of that," and then the guy said, and then Leo would say, "No, I didn't say you were stupid." Say, "What are you implying that?" He said, "No, I didn't apply that either." So he would always put himself in this position where like he's almost defending himself to gain the sympathy of the crowd. The time that is not true. So it's all a one man show in my opinion with the flat earth side. And I'll give you guys back the mic.
Yeah, I think I made a mistake when I told the last two people about did we talk about the flat earth first? Like now I'm like
Yes.
confused.
We did, yeah. And
And
then
so we were
talked
talking about
again
the globe.
Globe. That's right.
Yeah. So
Oh,
anyways,
okay. The last few comments, few comments I heard were about the flat Earth, so I just went with it. Sorry.
yeah, that's okay. We'll just continue on as if nothing happened. I'm going to temporarily move you off stage, Samir, so I can bring in UDEF. But I'll move you back if you stick in the back.
You know, I'm gonna actually exit, and I'll
Okay.
come back in if I see space available. That way, I'll give somebody else a chance. How is that?
All right, thank you, Samir.
All right, thank you guys.
Yeah.
Bye bye.
Peace.
Yeah, I want to give the flat earthers more of a voice on stage too, and people with cameras. But we'll go to I think it's Piezo Etheric. So we were talking about the globe earthers. I'm so sorry. But if you want to give a recap of what you think both sides did tonight, since I don't think you were here for that part of it, go ahead. Piezo.
Well, yeah,
Etheric?
thanks. I actually wanted to just kind of touch on something that he said. That gentleman that just finished speaking, whatever his name was, but Samir. Okay, and he was talking about it's as if it was like apparent that it was ridiculous that the explanation of like the circle thing to his question. And I mean, that's actually, most flat earthers believe in some similar rendition of an azimuthal equidistant projection when it comes to like the way that the world is set up. And so that being a circle, the equator would be a circle, right? So that wasn't really like a snide response. I mean, maybe it was taken that way, but that would be the literal, response to the question. But if you look at like my profile picture, right, this toroidal geometry that's not touched on a lot, but in the electric universe concept, like the Tesla rendition of the world, and even if you look at the actual magnetic flux lines on Earth, there's this toroidal geometry that's brought about by the gap between two poles, basically a dipole configuration. And so if you draw it on a flat piece of paper, it creates like radial lines that disperse outwardly in one direction or the other, and it inverts in the center where the equator would be. And so if you think about our world as being an azimuthal equidistant map, cross-sectioned as a flat surface inside of the toroid, there's a vortex in the center. Way above everything, there's like a flat star field or relatively flat star field that rotates in one direction, which would be east to west. But down below, each person relative to their latitude will have their own unique perspective based on that latitude, and it will be a translation of the rotation above the vortex through the toroidal magnetic flux lines. And you can use this to map out the ISS. The ISS takes a toroidal pattern, an elliptical like spirograph pattern around the AE map.
Yeah,
if you compare
I do want to get us on topic though. We're talking about what you think of the performance of the. I know you were responding to Samir, which is fine. I let you do that, but we're not having a debate for your claim.
No worries.
Okay, so I do want your opinion though on Mark Drysdale's and Delco's opening argument. What you thought about their debate performance? If you want to touch on Whitsitt and Mercedes too, go ahead since you didn't have an opportunity to talk about it.
Sure. Thank you. As far as the Glober side of the debate, and this is like me, just giving my genuine opinion. I thought they were kind of ill prepared for the depth to which these questions were going to be asked and replied to. I don't think it was really taken seriously, and I kind of think that that's a fatal error in this type of thing. up until now, Witsit's debates, most of them on MDD and YouTube, have been like in informal capacity because that's kind of the way that it's all been done. But were it to ever go to a formal capacity where anyone to take them up on that offer to do a formalized debate with like a formalized moderation system, like they would be, just they would have gotten crushed, right? So that's my opinion on it as far as like the fallaciousness of a lot of points goes.
Yeah,
They made a
I
lot
think
of fallacies.
I would prepare differently for different debate. I think Leo made that point. Like you prepare. I specifically like think about the audience when I write my opening statements. So, and who I'm talking to. But I thank you so much for that. We'll go to UDEF next. First time I've seen you on the panel. I think. I'm not sure, but welcome to the panel. At least with the camera.
Yeah, Ozzy, and it's the first time I've actually been on YouTube with a camera. So I have jumped on audio a couple of times, but it's not really my wheelhouse. So just jumping on because I had kind of a specific comment that I think would be interesting to explore from multiple perspectives. So just to get my overall review, I would say that I think the older guy, his name is Kevin, I want to say.
Mark
was on the
Drysdale.
Mark. I'm so sorry. Yes, you got it, Mark. So Mark, I should have known that because I've seen him in a few other debates. And sorry, I'm on the road, so I actually haven't been watching my computer. But Mark is a great guy. From what I understand, he works with wildlife. I've seen him do a debate against Kent Hovind, and I just think he does great. At the same time, I think that he comes at this from a more common sense perspective. He's kind of just like, come on, guys, did we really fake the moon landing? Like, and I think that resonates with a lot of people. Moving on, though, I think we had Delcos, who was a little too aggressive, I think, and he kind of lost some points for his tactics, I would say. But what really struck me in the debate was, can somebody remind me what's his partner's name was?
Mercedes. She's actually here right now. The Great Awakening.
Fantastic, because okay, so let me then phrase it in a way that's more respectful to someone who's actually here and listening. So what I jumped out at, just listening, not chatting, just listening as I was doing my daily activities, was when you said that not that many people would have to be lying for this conspiracy theory to be true. And so I think that there was a kernel of truth in what you said, because there are plenty of conspiracy theories, sorry for the wind, guys, that are true. Like we know that the Kennedy assassination we don't have all the information about what happened exactly. We know that the government chooses to classify things and to even spread fake narratives sometimes. But when you say that a small amount of people comparative to, I guess, the claim to start with is that a huge amount of people would have to be keeping this a secret, and you say, oh no, it's just a small amount of people at the top. I reject that entirely, because you maybe don't realize, and I hate to say it that way because it's kind of condescending, but like the amount of work that goes into something before it gets to the top, I mean, it really is quite a bit. And I think if what you were saying was true, you would not be able to keep these secrets from the massive amount of engineers, scientists, and folks that work in fields that are so vast that, like, I mean, you can name 10 and you haven't even covered 10% of them, who depend on calculations about the state of the earth to make our day-to-day technology run. I mean, it just is completely implausible to me. And so, as a person who grew up being indoctrinated into the globe Earth theory, you know, I would be happy to welcome your information if it made sense. But when you tell me that only a few people would have to keep this a secret, and I can just clearly see that's not the truth, I just could never come across, you know. And here's the other thing I wanted to bring up before I hand it over is there's always like, oh, did you test that? Did you really go and see what temperature water boils on the moon or whatever? Obviously, I haven't. But when we do random samplings of scientific claims, we can read a paper, we can learn about a scientific concept and come to understand it.
I'm going to do the
But
same
when we
thing
try
also.
to do-
Hold on really quick, UW, and we're getting a lot of feedback when I talk from you. I'm going to do the same thing I did to Pizio. It's like, this isn't to have the debate. It's more to discuss about what you thought about the debate performance right now. We'll get into an open discussion later on. So, and I think you did fine there. We're actually running out of space too. But I need to go to Justin. He wants to see some closing remarks, and then we're going to give the floor over to Mercedes and let her speak.
Yeah, thanks, Oz. What an electric debate that was. I mean, it was my 10th modern day debate. Technically my 11th, but one got taken down. So I'll call that my 10th. My third one with Witsit, my second one with Mercedes. And that was, for a flat earth debate, was really good. Maybe even one of my favorites. So starting from the beginning, from left to right, we'll talk about Mark. I think I heard some people say, and I think I agree, the Globe side maybe came a little unprepared, but it seems to me like I think Mark is trying to get his debate education while doing debates, right? So, you know, he's going to take everything that he's got today, he's going to go look into that, and then next time he's going to come back bigger and stronger. But I think as just a general person to use logic, you're going to see a lot more of him on Modern Day Debate, and I think we're all going to start to really like his style a little bit. Devin. So I actually had a lot of fun with Devin. I never worked harder, right? Usually my job is sit there and do nothing. And as long as the conversation is moving, we're happy at Modern Day Debate, right? Like that's the level of moderation we generally expect, unless someone wants a little more or even a little less sometimes, right? But I mean, except for the personal attacks, because those are never cool, despite I don't care how many views that the debate gets or how many people in the audience like it. I did not like the use of the R word, and I did not like him calling the flat earth side dumb. That was uncalled for. And I think he said some other words that don't need to be necessarily repeated, and they weren't terrible, but the fact that they were directed at the other side, that's not debating, right? That's schoolyard throwing rocks at people. It's who no one wants to see that. Mercedes, she's great as usual, right? She speaks clearly. We can understand her. She doesn't have all the answers, and she's not really afraid to say she doesn't have all the answers, right? So in the middle of the debate, someone talked about the whole, was it the LiDAR or something? No, I forget what it was, even myself, but she was looking it up, right? She was checking it out, looking into it.
LIGO,
right.
LiDAR.
And then Witsit. Yeah,
LiDAR is a thing.
I'm sorry,
I'm just looking at the
it is.
super chat list get long, and I'm like, okay, that's a 2-hour super chat list. Like, and yeah. And then Austin, Witsit gets it. I might actually have to argue that this may have been where he played the most debater cards. Let's forget the topic for a minute, but if this was like a Magic the Gathering game, Austin brought a $1,500 deck to a bunch of people who were playing from packs they just bought. Like, some of the techniques I noticed were pretty impressive. even at points where Mercedes got asked a question directly, and Austin kind of like ninja in an answer for her, like, Mercedes, don't fall for that question, right? Like it was pretty impressive to see. He can manipulate a conversation like a magician and a deck of cards, and if he doesn't agree with me, I don't care. He can do that. And
I tried to do that for Caleb in my debate. See, that's a gotcha question. Don't answer it. And he answered 81. Like, okay. Like, don't take my advice.
Now
he brought the Black Lotus.
You cool, bro? You gonna be all right, bro?
I'm
curious. Look a little upset, bro.
Who's speaking?
Me, Caleb doing that shit to you. You all right, bro? You can be all right, bro.
Okay.
Now I'm curious because I think there was a question that came up or whatever, and I think Mark was actually wrong, and it's the water drain thing going down the drain. Wasn't
Yes,
Witsit
he's wrong.
right?
Witsit's
100%. Yeah,
Witsit was right.
I thought so.
So it's like small too. So you have to have it perfectly designed where it has no preference for what direction the water will spin, and because you look at the Coriolis force, like the force, like in a thing like this small, is not going to be that strong to cause it. If it's perfectly designed, yes, it will have a preferential direction of spinning down the drain based on the Coriolis force. But the drains are designed to spin so that they flush out. So they're designed to go in one way.
I thought I heard recently that was like an old legend or an old wives' tale type of situation where that was something that actually happened. And even though it
on this channel,
was it on this channel? Probably.
We talked about it before.
Yeah, and I think in a way it kind of does, but it's not because of what people think it is, I guess.
Well, Mark did clarify it though. Mark clarified that he meant like something built without a preferential direction. But I still think it's like I guess
I'm confused here. Are you guys trying to say that like drains spinning in opposite directions isn't actually a thing that happens? Because I'm like 99% certain yes, it is.
No, that it's not a side effect of the Coriolis or something. That is a different reason.
Okay.
It's based on the construction. Yeah, it's based on the construction of the drain, what direction it spins.
Yeah. And anyways, I'll let you guys.
Well, I'm
have
talking
the
even
stage.
aside from that. Like if you just like designed like a funnel type shape, water is going to spiral in different directions in the northern hemisphere versus the southern hemisphere. I'm pretty sure tornadoes also spin in the opposite direction.
But tornadoes are much bigger too. So Coriolis is going to have much more effect on a tornado than is like the little itty bitty train. So if the drain's built perfectly, I think you're correct, Leo, that it would spin in the direction of the Coriolis if the drain was built perfectly, but we don't build things perfectly. And if you read papers on drains and Coriolis effects, you'll find that is the case, that the Coriolis effect is so weak over that amount of distance that it's not affecting what direction significantly the water spins down.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's due to the Coriolis effect.
Under perfect conditions, I watched under as perfect the conditions of a test you can do using colored dyes. The spin in the northern and the southern hemisphere, it's fucking negligible. You can't even tell with the naked eye.
Yeah, pendulums do show the effect though, especially the paraconical pendulums that don't just oscillate; they oscillate and rotate. Yeah. They do demonstrate the Foucault effect.
Well, Caleb did not that, by the way. Sorry, Justin.
It's okay. I just wanted to say a few more quick things and then make my exit. But yeah, I honestly, as far as flat Earth debates go, this might be my favorite, and that says a lot because I hate 2v2s. I don't like modding those because they usually become a shit show. But it wasn't so bad tonight, except for some personal attacks that I was really not cool with. But I'm looking forward to whatever my next debate will be. We've seen Mark twice this week too, by the way. He did the Dragons debate earlier in the week. But yeah, Mercedes is here. Let's not keep her waiting. I'll let you guys discuss with her. I told her you guys would be nice. And I think Witsit's in the wings somewhere too. So I'll give my space up. I'm going to go chill. Yeah, anyone who didn't like my modding tonight, I'm cool with that. Put in the comments. Let me know what I did wrong, what I could do different. And I guarantee I'll click like. Now, will I take your suggestion? Well, let's see how good it is.
Thank you, Justin. And
have a good night, everybody.
Okay.
Have a good night.
Night, bud. Night, buddy.
Peace, brother.
And as soon as you leave, I will add Flatman B back. But yeah, Mercedes. So you were there. So I don't know if it's fair to ask you what you thought about your opponents, but I will. And what did you think about your own performance? And what's its performance tonight?
I thought everyone did well all around. I kind of like how he was saying just before he left. I did notice that it seemed like Mark may not have been as well versed in the debating type field. He was definitely respectful though, and he didn't speak up when he didn't know about things. He also admitted to certain things that he didn't know about either. So I had respect for that as well. So I think he's just sort of getting into it. It's kind of seems like it might be his first few times of trying this out. But yeah, they both did, I think, very well. Devin kind of popped out a little bit early there too, midway through the questions. So unfortunately, I didn't get to hear everything of what he would be like. But from what was going on, I was a little bit disappointed with his attitude. I'll be honest there. I think he was a little bit too aggressive, maybe in a playful way, which would be fine, but definitely not so much on a YouTube platform because there were some words thrown around that could have flagged the channel for sure. So I think he needs to just be a little bit more careful about that kind of thing. But other than that, yeah, I thought they did pretty well, and I thought that Witsit and I did, Austin and I did really good too.
Yeah, I think I'll give my opinion. Witzik is on stage now too, but we are going to follow my panel, so we'll have open discussion like the last 30 minutes or so. But I just want to say I sort of hold the same opinion everybody else did. I don't like Delco's approach. I'm glad Mark didn't take that $15,000 bet because that would have been embarrassing. Somebody made a comment about why are all the Globers on the panel like dunking on the Globers? It's like, well, a lot of us like debates, and we're not judging it based upon what side we believe is true, but on who we think had the better presentation, the better style in the debate, and stuff like that. So that's where we're coming from. And in that regard, and Mark Drysdale has done a bunch of debates. I think he's actually debated I want to say Duncan Atheist or
Darth
Evolution
Dawkins.
False, Darth Dawkins, whatever you want to call him. Yeah. He's debated him before. So he's been around for a few years debating people. If you look him up on YouTube, you'll see a lot of his debates. This was not even his first flat earth debate, I don't believe. But I just say I just wish he was there and present in the beginning of the debate. It might have been a better debate than if he hadn't been. I would say he was late because he was driving and had problems and stuff like that.
No.
Nay.
His wife was driving. Did you not hear him say that?
Whatever. He was in a vehicle moving.
Is that why he was late?
Connection. Well, I don't know why the debate was late started. Maybe we can get some inside knowledge. We should have asked Justin, but it was like 15 minutes. What about you, Witsit? What did you think about your interlocutors there tonight and your own performance and Mercedes' performance?
I think Mercedes did great. Yeah, I think that one of the reasons I don't like 2v2s is because what normally happens is they find a way to try to, because this never happens the other way, where they'll try to like corner a specific person. Like, so they'll try to corner Mercedes and go 2v1. And you'll never see a flat earther asking the Globers be like, no, I was just asking him. You don't answer, as if they're scared the other guy might have an answer. So let's prevent them from answering. This is my opinion. Because then what happens is I feel the need to kind of overcompensate to call that out or whatever. And then I feel like I end up dominating. I try not to do that. But
1 second. 1 second, Witsit. Show notes. Dr. J, I'm going to remove you from the backstage for now. We have Mark Drysdale coming. Unless you have something to say, put a finger up and I'll. Okay, thank you, Dr. J. So go ahead and invite Mark Drysdale up. I don't want to ban you. Oh, sorry, Witsit, go ahead and continue.
Yeah, I just think that's kind of a weird tactic. Like, if I ask a question to the globe side, if it's a 2v2, it's a team thing. Like, if either person on that side has an answer, that's cool. I would never be like, well, I think this person probably can't answer it as good as that one, so let me stop that person from answering, right? I think that that's kind of weird. I don't like 2v2s because they're very difficult to stay organized, but the only time I would do that is if someone made a specific positive claim, I would ask that person to back it up. But anyway, that's that's one of the main beefs I have with how most of the 2v2s go. But yeah, I think that what's his name, Delcos or whatever, he was clearly very interruptive and overly aggressive at the beginning of the conversation and kind of took the tone in the wrong direction. But other than that, I think it eventually kind of chilled out. I think it was pretty well moderated. And yeah, I think it was overall pretty decent. I think that these debates need to move towards specific predetermined topics because there's so much information that it's impossible to have like a fully productive debate unless it's kind of limited. The idea of flat versus globe is very wide, broad topic. But yeah, I think it went pretty good. I think that they maybe could have done better. Certainly, Delcos was very interruptive, but yeah, that's my opinion. I could have probably done better at times too, not taking the bait.
Yeah. I think he did better in his first debate with you, actually, even though he was sort of focused on one claim with like the satellites and stuff like that. But like this debate, but it was 2v2, 1v1. And pseudonym, I was actually responding to the Globers criticizing each other. -3, come on, people. So thank you very much for your $2 super chat. And then we also have a question. I am going to give super chats like preference for questions in it for the panelists. And I think it's for the flat earthers. So, hey, we have plenty of flat earthers, I think 4 on stage. So feel free to answer. Your side claimed we can't witness Antarctica's 24-hour daylight because we're not allowed there. Can you deny the same phenomena in Norway?
It's another thing that's weird, right? Like, you guys know that flat Earth fully embraces the 24-hour sun in the north. And our entire point is there's an abundance and plethora of that being recorded nonstop, no cuts. You can go personally verify it yourself, no problem. And many people have done it. No one's ever been claimed to be stationed there for NASA for 6 months and never seen it. But that has happened in Antarctica. So the 24-hour sun works perfectly on a plain Earth, right? So no, we don't deny that. It's easily verifiable. You can go verify it yourself. That's kind of our whole point, is we want to be able to verify it ourselves. And yeah, we don't buy the clearly edited videos. I am planning to go, and we'll see. I just know that if I don't see it, people will either say I'm lying, or they'll say, "Oh, you just didn't see it," or you'll just say I'm lying. So I don't know.
What if you do see it?
I would honestly say that I saw it.
Thank you.
And then that would be interesting. I would have to think like, how is that possible? I would actually have to think about it, right? For sure. I openly admit that all the time. I wouldn't. No one piece of evidence at this point is going to make me just immediately change sides. But I would step back and be like, wait a minute, that matches the globe. How would that work on a flat Earth? Let me reassess these other things that I think are definitive. But I feel like I've done that like maybe 300 times. So, I don't know. But yeah, that's how I would do it. I would live stream immediately and tell everyone. That's what I would do.
UDEF, your mic the feedback's really bad. I was going to ask you a question about that. That's good to know that. I've already heard some people already offering apologetics for if they did see a 24-hour sun, like there's a layer where the sun's in between like dew layers or outside the dome or within 2 layers of the dome or something like that. But I'm not sure if that's like what you do, but
no, there's an interesting model that has, I think, a lot of viability. L of tomb illumination or tomb of L illumination. Where you basically have like these quadrants projected out. I mean, it's actually multiple sections. And it's interesting because when you start to look at the star, certainly near the equator, it does look like there's a lot of similarities projected out and slightly distorted. It's kind of crazy. But I don't see how that would factor into seeing the sun there. So I would love to go and see it. I think that when I went and didn't see it, that would also be substantial evidence. And I think that not one single glober would do what I just said I would do, which is step back and be like, wait a minute. If they went and didn't see it, they'd be like, oh, it must have been cloudy. Oh, it must just whatever. Like, that's what I think. But I think it should go either way. I think if you go as a globe earther during their summer, you should see it. Like, no questions asked. Like, if you go to the north, you see it. And I don't know, bro. I've personally talked to someone that worked with NASA. That's an actual person. That's not some story I made up. He's going to come on my show. He worked with NASA, was stationed in Antarctica for 6 months for NASA. And he said not one single time in that entire 6 months did he see the sun in the sky for 24 hours, but he did see daylight for 24 hours. He made it very clear, and he ended up becoming a flat earther. So I don't know what Globers do when they hear stuff like that. They convince themselves I'm lying, they're lying, whatever. But yeah, man, there you go.
No, it's just an argument about Veracruz. There's a logic
You're
fallacy.
roboting Leo really bad, but
so Flat Earth does have a response for how it could be. You say you can't see the sun, but it maintains daylight for 24 hours. You do have a justification for that in a Flat Earth model?
Welcome, Grayson, by the way.
Yeah,
man.
sorry.
You never heard the flat Earth answer for the 24-hour daylight?
In the North Pole, like in the Arctic, I have, but not in like the Southern Hemisphere, like Ushuaia in Argentina.
Yeah, the coffee cup caustic. So if you have some type of dome container, light will reflect all the way around the outside of it. It can be replicated to perfectly match what we observe. What no one really seems to be able to answer is if you saw the sun itself. If you don't see the sun itself, but you only see the light, that should be very interesting to people. But it's not though.
So
really.
You said I should Google coffee cup caustic. Is that what you said?
Yes, it's just a phenomenon where it's say if you take a coffee cup and you put it in the light from the window, what you'll see is that the light will wrap all the way around the circle, the interior circle.
I've seen
Wait, I thought
on Twitter.
I thought that the sun was inside the dome.
Well, okay. That why would that not work though? It's just the fact if there's a circular shape, it would wrap all around. Of course, my actual position is that there's 7 layers to it. There's 7 layers to the containment, and that the sun is in one of the lower ones. I would actually say that it goes moon, sun, stars. And that's why the sidereal motions of all the 3 are faster the further you go away. And that's why the sidereal rotation measurements with interferometry get faster the higher you go. But I would say they're all within different layers. That's what all the ancients said. That's what the evidence seemed to suggest. So that's what I currently think. It works perfectly on a flat earth. Coffee cup caustic.
Okay, I do want to get the other flat earthers a chance, Mercedes and whatnot, to the super chat. Does anybody disagree with Witsit on that, or want to add any other comments?
I mean, there is one. The whole thing is assuming that there is a dome, but we don't have any even a priori reasons to suppose that. So that's a greater assumption that the model has to make over the model we currently have, which makes it less simple and so less preferable.
Yeah,
I mean, just basic scientific Bayesian reasoning. And
It can't be that though, because all civilizations across the earth, no matter religion, regardless of anything, all depicted a solid dome going over the earth. So that's kind of a fallacy to state.
They also all believed that there was a life force that kept things alive, and we now know that's not the case. There is no.
You said there was no a priori.
How have you disproven
evidence?
the fact that there's
So
not a life
what I'm
force
saying
keeping
is that
things
the
alive?
fact that a bunch of people said something throughout history that we've already scientifically falsified, it doesn't matter what they said.
Well, I agree that just the fact that they thought it doesn't necessarily matter, but you said there was no a priori evidence, but you know that the flat earth position specifically does invoke that. They say that the necessary indicator to gas pressure is physical containment. You guys say nuh-uh.
That doesn't have anything to do with what I was referring to. So I can grant you that. I can grant you you're correct there, but it's not relevant to the point that I was making.
No, that's what we're saying is evidence that there's something physically containing the earth, is that itself. People also say the reflection of a rainbow. Also say the physical Gaussian surface antecedent for the vertical electric field that's uniformly distributed. So we do have claims a priori to support the notion that it's contained, and logically speaking, it would have to touch down to actually substantiate containment. So we absolutely do have a reason to say that. It isn't just a baseless or religious idea or anything like that. We do satisfy the very logical criteria that you just suggested.
Yeah, so I wasn't using that as a reason. I was just refuting your claim that it had never been it wasn't used in the past, basically, but it really had been used in the past.
Well, he just made a claim that scientifically they disproved prana and chi life force. You got a citation or?
I mean, we're talking about this 24-hour daylight.
I know, but he did make that claim. I'm just playing.
Do you agree that if Witsit goes to Antarctica Would you change your view, Flat Man B?
Oh, totally.
So you think if you saw a 24-hour sun in Antarctica, the Earth is a globe, or would it
No,
be
no,
something
there's
else?
not a globe. I'm just gonna have to
Change
be
your
taken
view.
aback and try to figure out what's going on there.
Interesting.
I think.
So would you guys do the same thing if you found out that it wasn't there?
Well, yes, if I didn't see a 24-hour sun and there wasn't some weird, like, huge, like, alien ship blocking it or something, when I should see a 24-hour sun, I would be super, like, stressed out. I would not believe the Earth.
Super stressed out.
Yeah, I would change my view. Like, I wouldn't believe that our model was accurate at all. I would totally change.
I think when you go there, what you'll actually witness is you'll have daylight, but you won't see the physical orb of the sun. So, kind of to answer the guy's question, if you saw the physical orb, that was the only way it would be a problem for the flat Earth model and have to be like rethought and figured out again, right? Is if you saw the physical orb of the sun the whole time. But we would contend that when you go there, you're not going to see the physical orb. You're going to see the physical orb like go away, and you're still going to see light from it, but you're not going to see it. And then it's going to come back around and you're going to see it again, but you're just going to get the light from it.
And there are many things that you can do that could falsify flat Earth. This is one of them that are up there towards the top of the list. It would definitely change everything that could be possibly claimed as flat Earth. If you could actually verify that you circumnavigate directly over the center of Antarctica, pop back up on the other side of the ball, that's impossible on a flat Earth. There are things that are impossible on a flat Earth, unlike the things you guys claim are impossible, that can't be done. It's not like it's not weird that flat earthers are so obsessed with Antarctica. It's just like, no, we would rather not be flat earthers if the Earth's not flat. We would rather not be ridiculed for nothing. So like we immediately all were like, oh, dude, just let's circumnavigate north to south. Right? I mean, that's logical. It's like that's proof, right? It's exclusive. So that's what makes the flat Earth so interesting to me, is there are actual things that could falsify it, that are realistically possible, that have never been verifiably done. We as individual researchers can't go verify those things. I think that that's weird. I think it's also weird that the most famous 24-hour sun video of Antarctica, we found out was edited. It was literally faked. We found out, and then they admitted that they faked it. They admitted that they chopped it up after we all got gaslit, saying that it's clearly got the same clouds at the beginning and end.
Well, let's see it go.
That's kind of weird, right?
Let's see it go to Antarctica.
There have been like multiple like pole to pole polar circumnavigations. So do you just say that all those were fake or what? Like, well, there was one in 2019, I think.
Well, almost every time you guys claim that, we go look at the actual map projected, right? The actual route projected. And what they do is they dip off into Antarctica a little bit, then they loop back up around. They don't go directly over the entire center and interior of Antarctica, continuing to come back around the other side. All of these supposed polar circumnavigation north to south, you can look at their routes, and admittedly, they just dip down kind of into Antarctica and then pop back up. And then they go a little further, typically a little further east, right, to complete it. And that's highly suspect, bro. I mean, yeah. So we want to do it ourselves. I think you guys can understand that that's pretty reasonable with the amount of evidence. You know, like we want to verify it ourselves. Like what I showed in my opener, and it got completely hand waved. That just coincidentally, every single year, the same 2 days, the mountain sets below, or the sunset goes below or behind Antarctica. I mean, the Canada Mountains, and we see it. And you guys tell us it's refraction coincidentally every single year at the same predictable time.
I do want to keep it on.
Yeah, sorry, I'm talking a lot. Y'all go ahead.
Ozian, can I just really quick share my screen and then I'll drop it?
Okay.
Because this is when I Google the route from the 2019 trip. I mean, this is what comes up, and it's, you know, over south. So I would just need to see the source, I guess. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, even that right there shows that they come down and go up. They come down and go up, and actually, if you look at that on other projections, right, they you don't see them coming down and come up. Why can't we go directly across the center? They come down and then they come back up. Why? Why would you ever do that?
Because of where they need to land. Look, if they went further away, I mean, this is their route.
Middle of the Pacific.
No, it would be an actual circumnavigation. It would just take a little longer. But actually, Jaren has completely looked into all the details of this and completely destroyed it.
What he means is why didn't it keep going straight down through that South Pole area that you guys saw on the map? Why didn't it
Because
go
they
straight
run out
down
of
and then
fuel
loop
and
back around
crash.
through? Why did he curve and go off to the
Well,
I
side?
that's
So it
think
looked
it's
like a
mostly
bow
fuel
tie instead of.
consideration. Sorry.
It's
well,
okay.
well, really quick because it's the Pacific Ocean. It's huge, and you can get lost. And it's better if you're going to do trips like that to go near land masses. So that would be
Well, it
why.
is, but if you're circumnavigating the Earth and you're trying to prove that it's a globe, and that's the one way to do it, then
Well, were
Well,
they trying
don't
to
claim
prove
it
it
proved
was a
it then. If
globe?
you guys don't, it is a fine answer that it's dangerous to fly long durations over the Pacific Ocean without fuel. I understand that, but don't claim it proved it then.
But
Well, were
wait,
they trying to prove it was a globe? I don't think they were. Were they?
Well, I think they kind of were. They made a big deal about how it was the first time anyone's ever flown in a north to south circumnavigation. But
Well,
anyway, he
it
just
wasn't the
invoked it
first
like it was
time, though.
legitimate evidence of the globe. So
I think if I recall, it was because like I mean it's an amazing feat, but it's also dangerous. You know, I think there's multiple components going on there about why it's like hell yeah, look what we did, guys. You know.
But even I don't understand why you think it doesn't like prove the globe just because they didn't go the exact like the like what they did still proves it. I don't see why it doesn't.
what? No, it doesn't.
Like,
On a flat Earth, you could go down into Antarctica and then pop back up further north, but still be going northwest and come back around.
But
Could
when
you
you have to
though?
travel around, like the
Yeah, why? How could you? I don't understand that.
you guys would have to look at a flat Earth map. If you did, you'd understand what he's talking
But
about.
y'all don't own any flat Earth maps. Every time I bring one up, everyone tells me it's not the map.
Mercator, look up Mercator. Look up
Even showing
the.
that map, even showing that route on an AE map shows you that they could just dip into the ice and pop back up. And what I'm saying is it's like, oh, they did do it. And then we get into it, they didn't do it. And then it's like, oh, but they can. It's dangerous. That's fine. Fair enough. I think that's actually a legitimate answer, possibly, right? But don't ever
Austin
invoke
is-
it. Don't ever
sorry.
invoke it again, right?
Okay, let's move
Is-
on.
Isn't a sorry.
Let's stay to the show format a little bit. Thank you.
Okay.
I do have more super chats really quick. Pseudonym, $2 super chat. Thank you very much. He wants to link up with you to ask you questions about your flat Earth model. So you can go to your channel, I guess. It's Wits It Gets It on YouTube.
Yeah, I also have a Telegram, Miswits. I think it's t.me/Miswits. Yeah,
Okay. And
you can
then
at me in there.
okay. And then Anathema gifted a membership. Thank you very much, Anathema. So there's another long one that's related. We'll just do it. It's related. And then we'll move on to the format a little bit. Samir, and he's a debater too. Maybe he'll do a flat Earth debate. He does Muslim debates. Anyways, if your idol flat earther was invited on a mission, I think he's talking about Dean Odell, by the way, was invited on a mission to Antarctica and reported 24-hour sunlight to be true, would you believe him or you'd say he betrayed?
If who was?
I don't know if he's talking about Dean Odell because you were there for
He's
that
talking
debate.
about their idol flat earther, like whoever your idol is in
Oh.
flat Earth.
I don't have idols. I think it's super lame for men to idolize other people.
I do too. For
Agreed.
any other being, I think it's super weird to worship any other being, but that's a different conversation.
Unless it's a supernatural, all
Idolizing
powerful.
isn't the same as worshiping, so that I don't.
That's true.
I think a mentor or something is cool, but anyway, yeah, I would no. If someone like say Jaron, my homie, that I feel like I can definitely trust, if he went, came back and said it, I would respect him for being honest, just like I respect him for being honest about the ISS. I respect honesty. I'm not in this to like try to lie, despite all the claims that that's the case. Like I would respect anyone that was honest. It would have to be someone I trust personally, not some people that are speculated to maybe be, placed controlled op. But
yeah, what if it was Dean Odell? I accidentally unclicked one. What if it was Dean Odell?
I don't know him that well, but if it was someone like Jaron or something, the question is basically saying I get to pick who I would trust the most. Like if someone I went and trusted that's kind of big in flat Earth came back and said it, I'd be like, wow, what the hell? I want to go now. And dude or I would sit in the same room with them. And I'd be like, this is crazy. And I'd accept the truth for what it is.
All right, I did ask that question about the idol. Okay, that's good. And then if I don't know what this is. Okay, Justin sent me messages on the side. I guess people are saying when you say, well, that's your model, is that an attack? I don't think that's an attack. Like if you're attacking a model. So when we have debates, often like there's two types of debates. There is like a person's making a positive claim, the other person's just refuting the positive claim, or you're presenting two worldviews. A lot of these flat Earth debates are set up for it's flat versus globe. So you're both presenting a worldview. You're both presenting a model of reality, and one side, neither side agrees that the other model's correct. So when I have atheist debates, then I always make a positive claim for atheism. I'm not scared to say I believe a God doesn't exist and provide arguments for why I'm justified in that belief. I make those arguments, and I'll debate people that have the opposite claim. I did that against Kyle Adams in a debate where he said God exists. I said God doesn't exist. So that's how those type of debates are formatted. Unless somebody disagrees, that's typically how they work.
Dude, I would be interested to have a conversation with you about that, to be honest.
That would be wonderful. I still want to talk to you about electrostatics too, and power flow, because power flow is negative, positive. Conventional flow is
No,
positive,
man.
negative.
Positive and negative are just arbitrary words, bro. Like, but we can run a generator on the surface, and we ground things into the surface, right? So,
But it could be you could ground the negative or positive leg and connect the other one to the other polarity. It doesn't matter unless the leg is internally grounded to the chassis, which some motors are internally grounded to the chassis. So you always have to hook that up. And but conventional is positive to negative, but the power flow is actually negative to positive in physics. So
okay, so there's a downward current on the Earth. I don't know why you guys have to deny
it's
this.
upward. It's upward.
No, it's not. No, it's not. Like,
Yeah,
for example, a
upward.
bumblebee will fly over a flower. Okay.
Yeah.
And what happens is it gains positive charge.
No.
Well,
how
I'm about to
bumblebee-
explain how it absolutely does. And the flower is, of course, grounded. So
That's
it's
the problem.
discharging. Okay. Which is what you guys would call negative. It's discharging. And then the bumblebee flies over it, and it has something called non-contact pollen detachment. And the pollen goes up. So if the flower is negative and then the bumblebee goes in the air and then the pollen goes up to it, then what is the bumblebee? Positive. Where's it getting the positive charge from? Why do we have to charge? Well, here's one more question. Why do we have to discharge things into the ground? And as soon as we remove the ground, it starts charging up from the air. Come on, man.
You don't. You can short them together
Well,
and it discharges it. So if you take positive to negative, you can discharge too. So you charge it to the reference you're standing on. It's not the ground. I do electrical for a living. I've done it for 31 years now. Like, we can have this conversation later because
EMF comes from the sky down to the earth. It's just a fact.
that's light though, or EMF.
What?
That's not electrostatics. Electrostatics isn't power flow. Electrostatics is voltage.
I said a downward electric current.
Okay, so then now you're talking power flow. You're talking electron flow. Electron flows have a negative charge. Electron flows negative to positive. If you're talking coulombs, you're talking electron flow.
Okay, dude. If you want to have a debate about it, because we'll go all day, I staunchly disagree with you. I've heard this debate before. I've heard this argument before. It's the only thing the Globers have been able to come up with in 3 years. Just to claim that actually it's going up, which is
I've known this for 31 years.
Okay, if you think there's no downward electric current,
Okay, wait. I'm sorry, I gotta interrupt. But if you guys even Google it, it says electrons have a negative charge, not a positive charge.
That's what I said. Electrons have a negative charge.
Okay.
Current flow is 1 amp of current is equal to 1 coulomb, which is 6.24 times 10 to the 18th electrons passing a given point in 1 second. That's how we measure current flow, is in coulombs passing a given point in 1 second. So basically, 1 coulomb electron passes a given point in 1 second. That's 1 amp. That's how we do that. But what happened is Ben Franklin, with his little friggin' like the pictures you see out there with the kite and the key on the thing, and they saw lightning strike, and they saw, oh, lightning's positive and the ground's negative. That's just how we're going to do it by convention. Ben Franklin was wrong. If lightning's coming down, the lightning's negative going to the ground that's positive.
Okay,
So
man. Well, here's Arizona University. Of course, we already gave you Feynman lectures, and if I give you 100, if I give you 100 citations, you guys will say that they misspoke, and we should trust the anti-flat earthers that there's not a downward electric current on the Earth. But I just disagree with you, bro. So, I mean, we can run a generator on the Earth.
Yes.
That means the current's going towards the generator.
No, you can run a generator just sticking 2 probes in the ground. You know that, right?
I can run
You
a generator with diesel fuel. Like what?
That is totally irrelevant.
no,
you can
you-
actually connect it to a balloon or a drone, and as it goes higher, the generator gets more power because the current goes from whatever's connected to the wire down to the generator.
Motor.
Also,
Generators
I wanted
produce,
to,
motors
I wanted to
consume.
say that so like the electrons.
You cut out Mercedes.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to her in the debate
Yeah.
too. By the way, here's the University of Kansas saying the same thing. Arizona.
Well, just to point out a fact,
you
let me,
guys
really
hear me?
quick. I can now, but you can take 2 rods, stick them in the earth.
You're not audible. I think
Yeah, it's
you
crazy.
missed it.
Cut
Oh,
out.
I hit my
We
thing.
can hear you.
I hit my thing right here. Okay,
You
so
cut out right at 2 rods stuck in the earth.
Yeah, so 2 rods stuck in the earth like 100 feet apart, you can generate a battery voltage like a 1 volt or something like that can actually do a little bit of work. You can create earth batteries. You can look it up, earth batteries using just dirt because there's a voltage drop across the ground grid because the ground grid is not uniformly the same voltage. You actually have dangers within the ground grid called step potential where if you like walk underneath the power line, you get induction through the earth, but we're talking EMF, AC induction, right? So it's different than what you're talking about electrostatics and stuff, which is DC. You get induction into the earth that if you step across it, you have a voltage drop that kills people, like literally kills people. But this is a different topic, but I'll let Mercedes talk because I'm just rambling.
Yeah, I'm just gonna
This is
drop
my
the
favorite topic.
I just wanted to say that it also says that the crust of the Earth is the crust is negatively charged, and that they say that the interior is positively charged.
Mhm.
So the downward pull for the electron would make sense then, based on what Witsit was saying.
Well, that would be the crust going to the center of the earth. So that would normally equalize. That voltage would equalize from the crust to the center of the earth. So the earth would eventually become neutral potential. But what happens with the earth, when we're talking about the earth, is the crust actually, the mantle is moving and you get a charge based on that within the earth itself. But the
You have
other thing
citations.
it's just from memory. But the other
Do you have any
voltage,
citations that the current goes up? Because I mean, a very weak current flows from the ionosphere to the ground. Arizona University. I just dropped NIH.gov. I just dropped a NASA source. I just dropped.
I will give you the physics behind it. So it doesn't
Okay, so
matter
no.
how. No, I do. What you're talking about is conventional flow versus electron flow. So it doesn't matter how you analyze it. If they're talking positive to negative, they're not talking about electron flow. They're talking about conventional.
I don't believe
flow.
in your electrons, bro. I understand the whole story is that positive negatives
You don't
arbitrary.
even
They
believe
don't
in
fit.
electricity.
I understand the whole entire. I don't believe in your pseudoscientific reification of
Well,
material.
without electrons, there is
you guys
no
think that
electricity.
you guys know that's not true. The phenomena is
Yes,
real.
it
Your
is.
the phenomena is real, but your
What's it-
interpretation of it is
And it's
not.
caused by electrons moving.
Well, then
yes.
can you tell your people not to talk about coulombs? Because coulombs is about the number of electrons. If
Okay,
you say
are you guys
coulombs,
ever going
if
to
you
think
say-
about how it's not a way to win a debate if you had to stop the point?
if you talk coulombs, you're talking about a synonymous word to electrons. That's the point.
Okay. Can I
I've never
respond?
brought up coulombs. Is this like another flat earther besides Witsit and me that brings up coulombs?
Well,
or something?
electrostatics is coulombs, is what
people
he's
do.
saying. But this is the point,
Okay.
right? So the phenomena of the electron is true. Then you guys say, don't talk about anything where we claim the electron. What? Are you not listening? The phenomena is real. Just like J.J. Thomson, the person that discovered it, right, originally stated that it's a terminal end of one unit line of dielectric induction. He then ended up changing it. You guys now claim it's a physical particle of matter, a charge-carrying particle of matter with no known size or shape. That's a cool
Yes, because
story.
particles are perturbations in fields. They don't have size. The fact that doesn't make sense to you doesn't mean that's not reality. Reality isn't obligated to fit into your extraordinarily small box of intuitions.
You're roboting again.
Yeah. Okay. See, and my point is that now you guys have updated the model again, right? To claim it now. A lot of people believe in quantum field theory. That's cool, bro. But the point is that, yeah, it is a perturbation in the background. You guys claim it's a physical particle of matter that has no known size or shape. And now it's just a density distribution of probability. You guys can't even figure out where it is. You just
Wait,
make a
wait,
cloud of where you think it
perturbation.
could be.
Witsit, do you
Yeah, we
have
can
any
figure out where it
explanation
is. We
for
just
the
measure
Millikan
it.
oil drop experiment in your
Yeah,
worldview?
yeah. It's just the smallest amount of charge that we could possibly measure. And that's why we called it the unit, the electron. The phenomena is real.
But you agree that you can calculate an individual
you guys are
mass
open-minded
per
enough to-
unit of charge. So fundamentally, you're saying there's no electron, but then all the observations of electrons are still the same.
Well, that's right. But except that you guys actually corporealize it, and the proof that it isn't corporeal is an electron microscope. And how is the electron microscope and how you
Look,
cannot.
if it looks like a duck, if it sounds like a duck,
Let him finish.
They can't. So, like when you have an electron microscope, right? Say organic matter has to be sputter coated, has to be metallically sputter coated in order to actually get the reflectance imaging of the electron microscope. If it was actually a physical particle of matter, I should be able to hit it against all other matter. I shouldn't have to
that doesn't
create.
logically follow.
Oh, explain how.
It depends on it because
Because
it depends
it's
on how
very
it interacts with
small,
other
that's it.
matter.
But I thought it was matter hitting matter.
It's
Oh,
very,
Lord have
very
mercy.
small. I don't think you're understanding the scales involved here.
Well, it's
Well,
not
you guys
just
claim
that
on
an
the other
electron
matter
is
that it's
small.
based on
An
a physical.
electron might not interact with certain materials depending on the structure of those materials.
So the matter goes through the matter.
Yeah, neutrinos, there's billions of them going through your body right now because they're such low energy, low mass
Red
particles.
herring
Yeah,
fallacy.
that's how the world works.
Okay,
Red herring fallacy.
How is that a red herring fallacy?
We weren't talking about neutrinos. How is this another
Yeah, I
pseudoscientific?
brought it up as an example, as an analogy. Were you not following? Or are you
It was
just
a
randomly
regular matter
choosing
as
to
well,
shout
and they
out
pass
fallacies
through.
because you don't
This-
have a response?
This is
Like,
what I
you
want to
know,
happen.
All right, you guys lost. It's okay.
This is why I want to have a debate on gravity. What gravity is.
I would love to debate you on gravity, bro.
Okay, because I can.
I would
I've been
love to
studying
debate
the
you
band of
on
gravity.
why you think that you can claim there is no God.
Oh, that's even better. I'd love to. I
Yeah,
wrote a
first and
book
second
about
law
it.
of thermodynamics, bro.
I wrote a book about it.
We'll
and
say
I cover
nothing
that.
about God.
Yeah.
But the fact that evil exists means that God, as defined by classical theism, doesn't.
Well, let's not.
I
let's-
had-
okay,
whatever.
let's move on.
That
to the
doesn't make
next
any
di-
sense.
What? Okay, this is
Of
pseudonym.
course it
Like
doesn't
you want
to
to
you.
you want to talk to him pseudonym with your $2 super chat. You want to engage with him, have questions. But thank you for the $2 super chat. You're spilling the beans, bro. Let them figure. I have no idea what that means, but thank you very much for the $2. What's it? You're coming, psyop. Hit me up. I'm not hardware. Okay, he's not hardware. Pseudonym is not hardware. What's it? So
Hand wave, it says.
okay, and let's see if this is pertinent to the. Okay. Oh, this is a good point. And I brought this up. I don't know if you heard it, Witsit, about the sync stuff. Like, you're right. Like, usually there's like a sink is not built with the perfect drain, so it's always going to have a preferential rotation. They typically build sinks and toilets to have a preferential direction that the drain goes down. So you can build a toilet to go or a sink to go in either direction. And you can look it up if you just look at drains and
Yeah, it's a
Coriolis
well-known
effect.
tourist trick, right? Like people would go to the right below the equator and they would charge money to watch how, if they take it to the other side, that it goes the other way, and they would switch them out. Or they would do it on a different one. They'd have two set up and one would be built the other way. So they'd be like, oh, look, on this side of the equator, it goes this way, but it goes the other way, right? It's like a well-known.
It's a clown show. Yeah.
I've seen it's tantamount to a circus scam.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
It's
I was trying to
too
save
small.
that dude. I was trying to save that dude. I don't have 15K to bet. You know, he should have known immediately. Like, damn, he's way too confident in this. You know, but whatever.
You could literally have one toilet in your house fucking flushing this way and another one flushing the other direction.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, the force is too small for the size of the drain. Like, like you look at even hurricanes don't always, or hurricanes or cyclones, depending on what coast you're on. I think they call them all hurricanes now, though. They don't like differentiate anymore. But the rotation of them are typically based on the Coriolis, as we understand. I don't want to have that debate based on the globe model, but it can go the other direction too. What's up, Pizio?
Do you
Is it
know? Yeah,
piezo?
it's piezo. Technically, they're all correct.
I want to say piezoelectric is what I want to say.
Yeah, that's what it's from. That's what it's from. So
I keep on
have
saying
you heard
please
of
don't.
the? Have you heard of the? He's robotic. Have you heard of the Elias effect, or Elias effect, Maurice Elias?
No. Somebody mentioned it the other day.
Uh-oh.
Elias effect.
Uh-oh.
We were talking about paraconical pendulums earlier, how they're more sensitive than regular pendulums because in addition to oscillating, they can also like rotate. They have a rotational aspect, so like they're more sensitive. They pick up the Foucault effect better, right? But with paraconical pendulums, Maurice Elias was the first one to detect this. So he was the person the effect is named after. Harvard University studied it for like around 18 years, and other people have confirmed it in the 2000s since then. But it's the increase in the rate of the precession of the pendulum during a solar eclipse event. So the rate at which it goes around in the circle to complete the spirograph speeds up during a solar eclipse.
That's a big problem for you guys, right?
I'd have to see why. Like, okay.
Yeah, well, this is right. Okay, you guys claim that it's the spin of the Earth, so it's just latitude dependent. But what has been proven, and it was observed many times, it's named after Elias first discovered it, that during a solar eclipse, it actually will change.
How do you pronounce his name? Elias?
Elias, Alias, I believe. And Maurice Elias won a Nobel Prize in the mathematics and economics or something.
It's not Alias name?
I think it's Elias. Yeah, Maurice Elias. But yeah, and I won't take his point. He can drive it home. But it is interesting because when Dayton Miller did the replications and what Maurice Elias did was actually look over all of his data and say it clearly is not properly explained right now because it correlates with altitude and with solar motion. They saw that the drift in the interferometry that's detected changes throughout the year with where the sun is, which is very interesting because during a solar eclipse, the pendulum changes how it moves. That proves it can't be Earth spin because it's something happening in the sky. Unless you just shift over post hoc rationalization, ad hoc, start making up things like, no, I think it's probably the gravity of blah, blah, blah. They've tried to do that with very specific, thorough analyses and shown that they can't actually do it without violating other claims of the gravitational model. So anyway, I didn't mean to take his whole point, to be honest.
Well, it says it's controversial among the scientific community as its testing is frequently met with inconsistent or ambiguous results over more than 5 decades of observation. So it's an interesting point. I'd have to look into it more.
I'm curious about why you guys like trust these results when it sounds like it's like controversial and people have tried to replicate it and haven't been able to. So like you guys are so skeptical about so many different experiments. So what is it that makes you think, oh, I can trust these results?
I mean, number one, it's completely intuitive and in line with the model I already believe in. And number two,
confirmation bias.
Number two,
I bet if you didn't interrupt him, it'd be good.
Number two, Harvard University studied it for 18 years and confirmed the consistency of the effects. And then number three, other people besides them have done it as well. So it's been
Harvard observed it for like 18 straight years. And guess what we've all decided to do? Try to replicate it, right? But your side has no answer. So they've just said, nuh-uh. So if Harvard themselves said that they've done it for 18 years, we're not just selectively choosing things. We're looking at the interpretation of all the different evidence. There is no interpretation globe friendly for that. So we're like, wow, dude, look at this evidence that no one's able to talk about. And all the Globers have said for 4 years is that it didn't happen.
The only thing left to do is to throw Harvard under the bus, bro.
That's what I was going to ask. The only so you do accept what Harvard is saying.
I accept evidence, not the forced interpretive conclusions of people with a philosophical bias. There's a difference. This is a test. This is a test that physically happens. We're talking about the physical evidence, not the interpretation of it. So yes, I trust physical evidence that can be replicated. I don't trust interpretations that assume and reify things.
Well, that's not true. You're doing that when you're talking about electron flow versus conventional flow because you don't know. If you don't know what the preferred direction is for power flow, and you're just hooking it up because you can't actually measure that power flow, you are committing a reification fallacy by your own terms if you're saying you can't know and then just presuming. So you're presupposing is positive to negative.
No. So I've actually replicated it myself by taking 2 metal plates. The default is that the bias is down. Once I flip the polarity of the field with the Van de Graaff generator, it goes up. And whenever I charge, I took little washers, wrapped the string of helium balloons around it, balanced it out to where it made them float, wrapped electrical tape around it, and then whenever I charged up the balloon, right, it went down to the ground. So like we can also run a generator. That means it has to have a current going to the generator to run it. And it gets more energy and it gets more electricity whenever whatever's on the wire is higher.
Motor.
I'm not reifying anything. It's a Corona motor. It's also known as electrostatic generator.
You are though, because you don't know you're just presuming it's the preferred direction is down.
How am I presuming when I just told you I did direct tests, 2 of them myself?
So if you charge, so typically a Van de Graaff generator is the direction the object will move depends on the polarity of both plates and what you initially charge that item with. So if you charge it, because it's acting as like a magnet, but it's electrostatic. So it's acting as an attracting force when they're opposite charges, or a repelling force when they're the same charge. So the direction of levitation depends on the polarity of the plates and what you initially charge the.
That's my point, bro. That's my point, right?
And it
Like
doesn't matter.
things gain charge from the air. This is just a fact. That's why we have to ground things like planes before we fuel them. Things gain charge from the air, right? Well, that means
electrons.
Okay, that means that in the ground has a negative charge. So if I actually added electrostatic charge to the balloons, what happened was they went down. As soon as I took the wand to discharge the Van de Graaff generator, it went back up to floating. Okay, so the bias is down, provably. I manipulated the variable that we were testing. It's actual science. You guys are just arguing about arbitrary definitions of conventional and or negative and positive. I don't care, bro. It's provable that there's a downward electric bias. I just cited 10 people from your own side saying it, and they're all wrong.
No, that's attraction and repulsion. That's not power flow. So that's an entirely different thing you're talking about. And Max wanted to talk. So
yes, I have a quick question for Austin. It's regarding this. I think I've heard you mention that this effect stays inside, even while inside a Faraday cage. Am I correct?
Yeah, there's still, we measured a vertical electric gradient even in a Faraday cage.
How would that be possible?
Because there's no such thing as a perfect Faraday cage that completely attains zero. Also, it's been proven that even in a vacuum, you have electric permittivity. There's no way to eliminate this variable, right? So you can lower it a lot with the Faraday cage for sure, but it can't attain zero.
When you say we measured
my
it, who
second
is we?
question. My second question
Zach measured it. Yeah, go ahead, sir.
My second question would be if
wait, Max, before you ask the second question, really quick, I just wanted to. I asked who measured it and who did you say?
Zach, Good Times for All. I'll get him doing it, but I will say it's like
so this is just like a friend
when you
of yours
see him
measuring
use the voltmeter and measure the vertical gradient. It's not like you're going to be like, oh man, let me reconsider my position. You'll just dismiss it. And the biggest point of that is he needs to understand that Faraday cages are supposed to block electromagnetic energy from the outside. It doesn't remove what's inside of it. You can't.
Yeah.
So your friend measured it, and you trust them.
Yes, that's right. I trust the guy that does physical tests with the actual equipment he's let me borrow and documented it, and he's not the only one that's done it. Other people have replicated it. So yes, I trust it.
Anecdotal evidence fallacy doesn't mean that it's wrong, bro.
Correct. I agree. So did he use like a fluke multimeter or like a voltmeter?
Yeah,
where you just put the probes in the air? Like they do have an air tolerance. Like they're not perfect meters, a fluke specifically. Like they're not accurate at low levels. Just to point it out, but
doesn't everyone agree that you think it's a coincidence that it went up when it went up with elevation or altitude? Come on, bro. Like, does everyone agree that there is still something in the Faraday cage?
If you have anything generating EMF in the Faraday gauge, you will measure voltage in the Faraday gauge. You cannot reduce it to zero, but typically, like even in the Feynman papers, they just say, well, we're going to treat it as if the voltage is zero because so we can't create a perfect Faraday cage, but we'll treat it
But that's a them problem, right? Like even when Grayson came on my show and was talking about the world's smallest Cavendish that was recently done, they grounded it. I'm sure it was in a Faraday cage. They discharged everything, and they still had to put Faraday material in between the two masses, and they still knew that there was a possible variable of electromagnetic effect. There is no way to remove it, even in a vacuum chamber. If you have a vacuum sealed Faraday, there's still electric permittivity in there.
Well, because we can't create a zero torr vacuum on Earth, so there's going to be
it's more just a statement that the electromagnetic field is everywhere and will, even at its lowest energy, still have a non-zero potential.
But that I want to make it clear here that we're not saying
there's
nothing at all. It's just like you're claiming there's a gradient.
That's what his measurement showed. Like I haven't replicated it myself, but what's funny is I want to, and every time I do, I found out you guys just pretend it didn't happen anyway. Every time I go do the test and document it, it gets put in a level documentary in front of millions of people. You guys will all just deny it anyway. So it's whatever, bro. Let's be real. If I go and do it myself, you'll say I did it wrong, or you'll just ignore it. You'll say it still doesn't prove what I say, or whatever, right? But take it or leave it. Well, how about this? If it is true, what is your position?
That there's always EM field in a
That's a vertical gradient, though.
But the gradient depends on where the charges are.
It's linear.
I said, if it is true, what's your position? If there's still a vertical gradient that the potential increases from the ground up inside a Faraday cage, what is your position?
Well, it's not necessarily going to be from the ground up. It's going to be from where the source of EMF is. If the source of EMF, if the Faraday cage is entirely sealing the chamber, and you have a EMF source, it's going to be from that source to wherever it's grounding out to back to the fight. So it depends. I would have to see it. So I don't know if it'd necessarily be from the ground up. I'd have to see the results. I don't think it would. I think it'd be dependent on where the source is. I built Faraday cages. I've done communication navigation work for the Navy, for substations. I used to do wave traps, if you understand that, radar equipment and stuff like that. So we had a ground stuff, we had a cage stuff. Like substations, they're working on hardening substations because we're deathly afraid of like saboteurs or terrorists, like doing an EMP or like a solar flare, like the 18th century. Detection. Yeah. So so in the 18th century, there was a solar flare that if we had that today, would like knock out like 25% of our grid. It would destroy our transformers. Like those big, huge $1 million transformers would be destroyed.
I fail to see the relevance, but I do want to ask a question.
Ozian dropping arguments for going to nuclear.
Hey, Witsit, before you do.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
That's not argument for nuclear.
In the side chat,
I know.
I
I
gave
was
links.
facetious.
I put links in the side chat to the Harvard study. Maurice Elias was a Nobel laureate, by the way. They named the effect after. So if you go to the links over there, you can
in
download
economics, not physics. I should just specify. He was a Nobel laureate.
I'm the one that already
no one
specified
that's
that. You
ever
probably
won
didn't
the
even know
Nobel
that
Prize
until I
has
said
ever
it.
been wrong before.
But that's not the point. The point is that when we invoke anyone that shows evidence contrary to your position, you guys hand wave dismiss them as quacks. So if they are Nobel Prize winners in your own paradigm, if they are Nobel Prize winners in your own paradigm, then we point it out, not appealing to their authority, but the evidence. But this is what I want to ask you guys, okay? Please give me a good faith answer to this. So although we know that your current paradigm, for the most part, accepts relativity, that's like the top leader right now, right? The official position is we know that best case scenario, it's incomplete, okay? And that it could just be completely wrong and replaced. And we have a dark matter problem. Some people think, well, maybe the dark matter isn't actually there. Maybe just our understanding of gravity is wrong, etc. There are some people, like the astrophysics professor from Australia, who proposed a new theory of gravity that's electromagnetic. And if you go check the equations, you can see that it actually uses makes testable predictions with the permittivity, electric permittivity in a vacuum, the electromagnetic vacuum, right? And that it gives you an equivalence for big G. So it's able to actually make a major solution for your paradigm. And not that you guys should just accept it or believe it or whatever, but why would you guys not at least be open to possible solutions when the truth is everyone knows that relativity either is grossly incomplete or there must be something amazing going on that we can't find? Why wouldn't you be open to that? Because what I've found is because they've heard me say I think it's electromagnetic so much that they just have to automatically call that dude a quack and dismiss him and call it fringe and appeal to majority and all this nonsense. But like, why aren't you guys open to alternatives that explain that gravity could be electromagnetic, which will remove the requirement for proportionate mass and could help you with your major problems in cosmology? Why are you guys not open to that?
We already have defined both those forces, and we know they're not the same.
Are you talking about Mies?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, so Mies, one of those testable predictions that he made was that antimatter should behave oppositely to matter in a gravitational field, and that was tested, and his prediction failed.
No, you keep saying that, right?
Yeah, and I cited you the paper that showed it too from CERN.
You cited it where?
In the last time that we talked, and you said, I just don't trust anything CERN says.
I said I have to look into the specifics because I know that CERN.
I cited you the paper.
I haven't.
I told you the title and the authors last time we talked.
No, but when
How
I
does-
asked you about the specifics, you didn't even know, dude. You didn't even know exactly how it was done or how it worked or whatever. So, like, you're claiming like you know for sure it disproves something, but you don't. And what I understand from what I've read before is that this quote unquote study of antimatter is highly suspect. Like, it's admittedly very fringe. We don't fully understand the concept, and it's inconsistent.
So you don't trust CERN is basically what I'm hearing.
But I specifically
would we
didn't say
trust
that, right? I said that the study of
Do you know?
supposed antimatter.
Do you guys not know who their mascot is? Who's literally who they have outside of
The
their
god of
building?
Well,
destruction.
it's not a mascot. It's just
Yeah.
a statue. This has been told and refuted time and again. Most of the people
Yeah,
that are working at
it's been
CERN are
refuted.
probably fucking atheists. Okay, like they don't
If you
believe in
say
any
that, then
gods.
what were they doing at the tunnel with that weird little ritual thing, dancing around like crazy fucking people?
Well, I don't know what
No,
you're
I have
talking
to
about, but
ask
there's
them.
been lots of videos of people dancing at CERN, like when they've made really cool discoveries.
No, let me help out everyone here. So,
Okay.
flat earthers say that they had this really demonic ritual. What they do, like pretty close to CERN, right, where they had this grand opening of a tunnel, but it was actually for a railroad. And they do this crazy, weird, demonic stuff. They like literally demonic. They dress up like literally Baphomet and stuff like that. But it's not. It's just really close to CERN, and there were CERN scientists there that participated in it, but it wasn't actually something thrown by CERN themselves, is what I've heard from globe earthers. So that's just to clear all of that up, but it is kind of creepy and weird. But anyway, dude, my point is that the study of antimatter is
particle physics.
I do have the explanation. Can I answer the question really quick? I do read those papers like on wands and stuff like that. I just don't accept them as being the answer yet. Maybe we will develop some theory that's different from theory of relativity. But right now, the thing that best explains our observations is dark energy, dark matter, and theory of relativity. And I have a video. This is funny. It may be insulting to flat earthers a little bit, but not too bad. Anyways, what?
It actually isn't true. They
Fallacy
just-
alert. Okay, dang it. I'm not.
I didn't realize you were. I would say that actually isn't true. They just came out with new quote unquote dark energy measurements.
Okay.
They didn't match the predictions at all, and now they're actually layering different types of dark energy. And
Figures.
so, I mean, like, what I think is so
that's not
weird,
true at
though.
all.
What I think is so weird, right? It's like,
I have like literal first person experience with this. Like I literally just started auditing like a cosmology course from a guy that is like literally involved in the data processing from the DESI project, which is like one of the most cutting edge observations of dark energy. And like they haven't even published the results yet, but he's told me about their results that will be published in, I think, March or April. And
they measured something that they say they can't directly
about them
accept.
being so crazy and not matching our predictions and everything. And this is like literally, this guy is like one of the foremost experts in the world for testing general relativity on cosmological scales.
That's what's up. Well, that's totally irrelevant to what I'm talking about, which is just a fact that they just came out with new dark energy measurements. The fact that they just came out with dark energy measurements doesn't somehow become false because you say you know someone else that hasn't released theirs yet. That is the dumbest response. That is irrelevant,
this
bro.
is the
I like
dark
how
energy
it's dumb
project
when
of the
like
year.
Grayson
And
cites
it's
a
not just
literal
him. It's
leading
not just him
expert in
doing
the
this. This is
field.
hundreds of scientists in collaboration.
I just said that they came out with new dark energy measurements. Are you implying that that's incorrect? Are you saying that's misinformation?
Well, where are you citing that from? What's your source?
I'll show it to you in a second.
Like,
I'll get
what's
the
the
paper.
project?
I didn't make it up.
I think it's really, really funny that it's kind of dumb. It's apparently a dumb argument or whatever when Grayson brings up one of the leading experts in a field on that specific topic in that field.
When
But
I point
Grayson
out that
cite people that like died 15 years ago and like weren't even a physicist and somehow we're supposed to just trust it. Like it's just this is insane.
That's not what happened. I didn't say it was dumb because he invoked some expert. I said that I made a point that they just came out with dark energy measurements, specifically of like distant star systems, stellar systems. That's how they measure dark energy, by the way, is just how fast they claim the light is moving in relation to other things and other mediums. They don't actually measure dark energy, but they just came out with supposed new measurements and that they were not expected results. If there's another guy that claims to have new measurements they haven't released yet, that's cool. But I said a dumb argument because it isn't relevant to what I said. It's not mutually exclusive. They may be measuring different things. So it's not a rebuttal at all.
So did you find what you were talking about then? Because this is not just some guy saying it. This is like literally there are hundreds of scientists. This is the biggest,
Appeal
most
to
precise
consensus.
observation of dark energy that has ever been done by humanity so far. So that's what I'm citing. I don't know what you're citing. Can you please provide it?
Yeah, sure, bro. But I mean, you don't even have anything to
Look up
cite.
the DESI collaboration. You're just saying, sure.
You don't even
look
have
up
anything
DESI,
to cite.
DESI, look
Look-
at that collaboration.
You have nothing to
You
cite.
just gotta
Grayson.
trust him, bro.
I had to trust your anecdotal claim you know a guy, and now promise the results are going to verify. Dude, anyway,
I agree.
bro.
I agree.
I'm gonna fall back, but I'm gonna say one last thing. My actual question got completely ducked. I mean, you brought up the antimatter thing, but this is what I think is funny. First, they say there's nothing else that can explain the kinematics and dynamics, or even get to solve for the equations and blah blah blah. And there actually is, and it's a fact. You can test the fluctuation in the permittivity to see if it actually means that gravity is variant. So it's a very testable prediction that hasn't been disproven. It's actually been verified in many ways. And I'm just explaining that you guys always move the goalpost. So now it's like, oh, if you can find one thing you think that a very fringe observation of antimatter at CERN supposedly didn't fully align with, then the whole thing's wrong. But we can make up 96% of the universe to keep relativity. You guys have such inconsistent logic and critique. If there's anything that goes against your paradigm or the current consensus or any way supports something Witsit said, then we're going to go through it with a fine comb and find anything we can think of. When it comes to relativity, you're going to basically accept it on its face like it's a religion and then make up excuses for every time it doesn't work.
That's how it
And
works,
relativity's been
though.
debunked by Runzi Cal.
Yeah, okay. Witsit, the guy you cited made a prediction that was falsified. So your model that this guy's putting forward was falsified by that observation at CERN. I know you don't trust CERN or whatever, but they published their data on this. It is like, again, a huge collaboration showing this experiment. Okay, you're just saying that because if I don't understand every detail of it, that somehow falsifies it or
I didn't
makes it
say
not
that.
true or something?
I said that you can't even articulate how it supposedly falsified it with any actual substantive specificity, but then tell me I need to read it all and understand it before I
can't
cannot
do that,
finally.
though. They showed that antimatter behaves the same as matter in a gravitational field. So that does falsify Mies because Mies predicted the opposite of that. I can specifically demonstrate how that disproves your model or the model that Mies put forward.
It's very intellectual of you. It behaved the same. Wow, I'm convinced it behaved the same.
You
Thank
don't
you
know
for
what
the
that means?
physics breakdown. I'm sold. I'm done. Like, no, dude, that's not how it works. What do you mean behave the same? What does that mean?
Can you believe every paper's true? Because like there is consensus to build around papers. So I'm not going to accept one paper's claim that says theory of relativity doesn't work. It's going to be based upon retesting those papers.
Papers can be bought and paid for, bro.
Well, why don't you feel
Regardless
the
of the
same
point,
way?
then why trust any paper, Flatman B? Like why trust any paper?
I think you should test the evidence against the claims of the paper. It shouldn't matter who writes it, if it's some dude in a cave or whatever.
But you
You
can't
should test
test
the
it.
evidence of the paper. But what I'm saying is that this has a very bold prediction in it, and what it says is that the value for gravity is actually
Well, I've
very.
let you talk quite a bit with it too. I'm not. I read papers, dude. I don't mind reading papers on these alternative theories. There's like many papers about different cosmological models. I read about theological models too, like theology, just not science stuff also. So I want to know what different people's views are and opinions are. But like the consensus is dark energy, dark matter, and theory of relativity. And until like that changes, and I'll accept it. Like, what's it matter? Like for my
You just
everyday
believe
life,
whatever you
it
think
doesn't
majority believes.
matter. It's not
So
the
like so
majority.
that you were the same guys that would have said Einstein was wrong for sure, and we know for sure Newton's right. And that's what's funny, because like you are the same people that would go make fun of people that didn't believe in Newton, right? When Einstein was getting laughed at.
I would not make fun of the people that believed in Einsteinian versus Newton. No, I would not.
Yes, because Newton was accepted across
You know
the
why
board.
was it? Because I don't make fun of people based on their beliefs. That's
Okay,
why
what I
don't make
mean
fun
is
of
you would dismiss Einsteinian gravity because of the consensus of Newtonian, even though now your entire paradigm has had to update. So you, instead of thinking for yourself, you're waiting for other people to think for you, bro.
No, because I'm not an expert in that field. I don't have time to learn every single topic. So the things that are important to me are the things that I spend time learning. Like right now, I spend a lot of time studying physics because I'm doing these stupid debates. They're not stupid. I say stupid because I didn't want
You
to
agree
go
that
over it.
approach would consistently have had you be the one that's wrong throughout all of history of physics?
I would have been wrong unless I was the physicist on the leading edge, just like all the other physicists were wrong until they weren't wrong necessarily, because we know, like you pointed out, that theory of relativity may be wrong. So maybe there's another
No, it's
model that'll
definitely
be the
wrong, bro.
true
We
model.
know that it's incomplete best case scenario.
You don't know that for sure. You just don't know.
We know it's incomplete best case scenario, bro.
You're assuming these other papers are 100% true that
No, I'm not
falsify
talking
theory
about that paper,
relativity.
bro.
Then you're not using those papers to falsify theory relativity unless you're not special pleading, unless you're cherry picking papers.
No, I never cherry pick, and that's why no Glober can specify
Thank
anytime
you,
I've ever
Justin.
done it. But Grayson, where did you send the paper? In Discord? I mean, in Telegram?
Which paper are you referring to?
You said that you sent a paper that disproves the electron. I don't even believe in his theory, of course, because I'm not a globe earther that believes in the heliocentric model. But I'm making a point. You guys are unopen to new ideas. But what is this supposed CERN paper? Where is it at? You said you sent it to me.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I just linked it in the private chat as well.
Wait.
I showed it on the screen the last time we talked.
Wait, we're not open to ideas, but base theory just pointed out he read these papers from these other people, and he also read the tests that were done to refute it. So obviously he's open to these.
Actually, he told me he didn't really read the paper that much. That's what he told me when he was on my show.
Well, maybe
Which one?
The Mies paper, I guess.
Yeah, because it's every time I give it to ballers for like almost a year now, everyone just ignores it. And then Mattoon does a show for everyone to then pair it and says, "What's it so stupid? Look, this talks about the universe, talks about the Earth being a globe." When my whole point is like just to get you guys to be a little honest and be like, "Damn, you're right." Even experts in my own field admit, like, look, we are having to open up our minds to maybe completely revising our understanding of gravity, including an electromagnetic interpretation. But you guys can't admit it because
That's not happening.
Okay.
You know, I did
That's
look
not
at
at
the
all
Mies
happening.
paper, and I saw where he predicted that antimatter would be affected in an opposite way to regular matter
I've still got my
in
question
his
raised
version
about
of
that.
gravity. I saw him making that prediction, and then I had previously read, like months before, the news from CERN that they had proven the opposite. So then whenever we talked, then I looked at the CERN paper, which I had not read when we talked, and then I showed it on screen. And then you said, interesting, I'll have to look at that. That's how
How
that
can
conversation went with it.
how can they claim anything about antimatter when they can't actually prove that antimatter exists?
Oh my
Well, we already
God.
have shown that it exists. So we not only have we created it, but it's implicated in all of the mathematics as a result of the conservation of energy, the conservation of charge. This is why when a proton in the core of the sun absorbs an electron, decays into a neutron, it has to decay an anti-electron, a
Leo, your
positron,
mic's
You're
going
and
in
the
and out.
electron neutrino to conserve energy, to
Leo.
conserve charge, to conserve angular momentum.
Leo.
So
We
not
can't
only
Getting
hear you,
have
emotional,
we
bro.
observed them, not only have we, I don't know why I'm being interrupted. I'm just trying to explain something.
Because
Jesus,
Because
they
you're
can't
roboting.
hear you.
Your
We
mic
can't
was
hear
I'm
you.
what?
your
You're
mic
You're
roboting.
roboting.
Yeah, you're a
Oh,
robot.
I
Leo.
don't know why. Everything's fine on my end.
You're
The
robot.
point is that we do know antimatter exists. We literally have made it. It's not a big mystery.
Okay, then what's antimatter? Someone explain it.
Base theory. This is my question.
It's like
So,
matter that
can't.
holds the opposite charge.
yeah. So
Like
so
a
base-
positron. Am I still cutting out?
No.
Mm-mm.
Okay. A positron is exactly the same thing as an electron. It just has a positive charge instead of a negative charge. Flip the charge and you get antimatter.
And that's what the paper says, that they'll be opposite. And he's saying that this paper proves that they're not opposite, that they're the same. So they're opposite but the same is Grayson's
Okay,
first.
come on. You know that that's a straw man. Come
Wow.
on.
I'm reading the paper. I don't think you've even read it.
But if it was falsified by other testing, then you don't.
So it's
What-
a
what
false
testing?
equivocation.
Like
You're
it's
saying
CERN.
like that we're saying they're opposite in charge. They have certain properties that are opposite. However, they have the same mass, and that's why they're affected in the same way from gravity and not the opposite way. If gravity was electromagnetic in nature, we know one thing about electromagnetism, and that there are two polar opposite charges. You can call them plus or minus. Who cares what you call them? They're polar opposite, and they behave in opposite ways in an electric field.
Wait, have you not put together the major flaw here? That if they have to invoke the presence of a gravitational field within their own understanding of where that would be, right? And then you're going to say that that falsifies a different application interpretation of the gravitational field itself, then that's completely non sequitur. I'm going to read the whole paper, though. I'm going to read the whole paper instead of cherry picking.
Okay.
You think that this gravitational force that they're talking about, you think that that's electromagnetic in nature, but there is no electromagnetic field in which two oppositely charged things behave the same. It doesn't, like, that's what falsifies it, is because they're observing these behave the same in the presence of a field. They're saying it's gravity. I get that you don't like that, but if it was electromagnetic, their results could not be explained.
You can't remove all the variables, bro. You cannot remove electrostatics from any experiment.
That's
But base
true.
theory-
Actually,
base
you can do electromagnetism on gravitational fields, which is how we know they're different things.
I'd like to ask my question. I've been trying for a while. Based. So let's not talk about antimatter. Just in regular matter, you got an electron, you got a proton. Regardless, you got a neutron. All of it falls, even the things that have opposite charges. So why wouldn't you like there's an assumption, and their inherent assumption is built into it is like the angle of approach that you're taking to attack it is saying the model doesn't work. So the inherent assumption is that if there was something known as antimatter, which was actually fundamentally like inverted as compared to what we think of as matter, then it would behave oppositely. But if you take away that assumption and you think, hey, whatever we're designating as antimatter, that's just a name we call it. Really, fundamentally, it's made of the same exact substrate as matter. Therefore, it would behave the same. Like, he could be right about all the math and everything else, and just the definition about what they're calling antimatter being different than what we actually observe. It wouldn't falsify the model.
Can you make your statement make more sense?
Okay.
All I got out of that was
Breaking
that
it down into a
antimatter
simple
and
way.
matter.
Bringing it down simply, if antimatter, like as Constantine Mice conceptualized it, right, is not the exact same as what they are claiming to pick up and detect as quote unquote antimatter, then you don't have an equivalency there, and it wouldn't even refute it anyway.
You're saying, what if antimatter wasn't antimatter? I really do not understand what you're trying. What point you're trying to make.
Constantine Mice's conception of antimatter
Who
would
the
have
fuck
to be
is
the
that?
exact same as what CERN's conception of what they claim they're detecting with antimatter is in order for your point to be correct.
I'm reading through this. It doesn't say what you're saying at all. So would you like to cite a specific part in the paper?
The Constantine Mises paper?
No.
The CERN paper?
Yes.
Like, yeah, their results are that antimatter behaves the same way that regular matter does. That's what the paper showed.
Okay, so you're citing the conclusion. Is that what you're saying? Because I'm reading through the paper, so you're saying I need to skip down to the conclusion. Is that what you did? You're saying the conclusion says they behave the same way? Because it specifically says that they don't. It says that there's a slight difference, but it's not significant, that they applied bias values. That's what it says halfway through the paper, is that the 10G and 20G actually were different of the anti-hydrogen atoms. The anti-hydrogen atoms, there was a difference. That's what it actually says. So I'm not sure.
Wait, is he reading the nature?
Hey,
the nature
everybody.
paper?
So we're going
Yes.
over 2 hours. The show plan was for 2 hours, so I do want to like work towards wrapping this up. But I love the discussion so far. Hold on, really quick. You can. What's the question?
Well, no. So, oh, what? I'm confused.
Yeah, what's
Okay,
happening?
We're going to.
Am I asking my question or not?
No, I think Max had a question he wanted to ask.
Oh yeah,
Mercedes.
it's a very quick question because it got caught in my head what you said, Mercedes, about the planet A, the wandering stars, and I was just wondering if you have ever watched the planets through a telescope, but just a regular optical telescope, like a tube with lenses.
Yeah, when I was a kid, because that was a really big thing in the 90s for kids to have telescopes, and one of my friends had a telescope, but I didn't get to own one myself. They were pretty expensive back in the day for a good one.
Okay.
All right.
And do you think if you saw them today and you looked at a star that you would still be calling them wandering stars? Because that's
Yes,
ancient.
Yes,
Go ahead,
because
sorry.
when you see the observations that a lot of people have recorded through looking through telescopes, they look sort of plasma-like, almost like a plasma ball, almost like it's being looked through from this weird plasma light reflecting in water. And I've seen tons and tons of people with telescopes be able to show that. So the only time that you actually see what they're showing you in NASA, that's actually an enhanced image, and they do use CGI to show you that picture, and they claim that they use it too. They tell you how they make the planets look pretty. They even
Real,
highlighted
real fast to help Mercedes out. I think you may like if you're wearing headphones or something, you might want to like make sure that the cord's all the way plugged in or something. It sounds like the mic or the headphones are just a little bit not all the way plugged in, and it's staticky. But we can still hear you. It's just it's a bit intense.
And we do have a question from the audience for Mercedes from Robin Webster for $2. It's still staticky, Mercedes, but I can understand you. It just sounds horrible.
I mean, normally that's like when a mic's rubbing on a jacket or your hair or the cord's not all the way in. So I'm just trying, in case one of those things are happening, it'll fix it, but I don't know.
But the reason I asked if you had watched it through basically a simple telescope is that there's no CGI there. There cannot be. It's just a tube with lenses. And when you make those observations, yes, I've seen the ones that you see that it looks kind of faint, maybe transparent.
Oh, she's not hearing anything you said right now.
Oh,
hey, Mercedes, mic check. Oh, I do want to. No, it's horrible.
Now it's worse. Now it's worse.
No. Sorry, Mercedes.
Yeah, it's like creepy sounding, dude.
Sorry, I removed the Mercedes. It sounds horrible, but maybe you can answer it in the live chat. But we're going to close out the panel, guys. It's been a long day.
Thanks, Ozen, for having us on, man. It was good to at least chat a little bit. Look into the ISS path matching the magnetic flux lines of toroidal geometry, bro. Look into it.
Okay, thank you. I did want to do some show notes really quick, and so we have not much going on coming up. I think we have the Sunday shows. You'll see some pre-shows and after shows, and then Max's. What's the name of your show, Max?
Tell Me That Story.
And you're doing that on Wednesdays, is that correct?
Wednesday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Okay, great. And he's going over like mythology or deaths or something?
Yes, the next chapter is a catalog of weird deaths.
Yep. And I think I'm supposed to be debating Nadir coming up here soon. So we'll see on is the Quran scientific or not. I think that'd be one. Yeah, I have already have my opening argument written because I prepare opening arguments. I read from scripts. That's right, flat earthers. I read scripts. But anyways, share that. But we'll go around the panel. People can talk about their channels and stuff. Isa, got any parting words for the night?
I think this is a good conversation. I appreciate having Witsit and Mercedes and Piezo and Flatman all coming up here to defend Flat Earth. I think we need, for me personally, I think with freedom, this is my position. I think we should have all these different kind of spaces within the conversation. I think it's helpful. I think any pursuit of truth, you have to have points and counterpoints. So I think it's really useful to have this in the dynamic in this conversation. And I hope we can continue to have these conversations. It's really powerful. I have a YouTube channel. I'm streaming this right now, so it's pretty dope. So I appreciate you all, and it's good to see Base Theory here and Max and Ocean. So
I do allow restreaming. Oh, Robin Webster gave a new membership. Thank you, Robin, to whoever the lucky winner is. I can't see it in this format. Oh, really quick before we go to the next person, I did ask at the beginning of this, since we still have 163 viewers, if you like this, please hit the subscribe button. Please follow the show. Please consider becoming a channel member like Robin just made somebody right now. And please subscribe to the channel. We do these type of shows. I think they're entertaining. We're fiddling with the format a little bit. But with that, we'll go to the next person around the row. Piezo Etheric. Want to do any shout out about your channel, what you got going on?
Yeah. So all the shout outs I have, a shout out to Space Audits on YouTube. Shout out to Ether Cosmology on YouTube, and shout out to Wits That Gets It on YouTube. And check out the in your own time. Check out Wits will probably be dropping something, I'm assuming, at some point. But toroidal geometry of the magnetic celestial sphere. Check it out. It answers a lot of your guys' questions about Southern Star rotations and a lot of things like that. But yeah, thanks.
Thank you. Witsit gets it. I know your channel.
Yeah. I just got demonetized, so
Oh, why?
That's too bad.
Yeah.
Is it flat Earth content or?
They said it was harmful content. I don't even talk about anything but flat Earth. But yeah. Anyway, I'm there for now. I'm probably going to be more prominent on other places. I haven't decided what I'm going to do, but yeah. Witsit gets it on YouTube, or I have a Telegram.
Did you appeal it?
Yeah, I'm appealing it. Yeah, but I mean, if someone says something as vague as harmful content, yeah, I mean, I don't really know what you can. I don't know, but yeah, I'll appeal it. We'll see what happens.
They demonetize, like, for ads for any type of debates about a certain war in the Middle East. They demonetize.
Yeah, but I haven't covered any controversial things. Like, I just talk about flat Earth, bro. Like, how is that harmful to people?
And
Such
these
a
are
stretch.
monetized too. Like, for me, like, I don't know.
Well, yeah. Believe it or not, they also prop up anti-flat Earth videos in the algorithms. I mean, look at Professor Dave, but look at Simon's Dan hit piece he just did on me a couple days ago, right? But
Hey, Social Blade has me at B- right now, so I'm moving up on Professor Dave, whatever.
yeah, it's all good, man. It's
Not Professor
frustrating,
Dave.
but not surprising. I mean, I've been censored on Venmo, PayPal, you name it, but whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw Kyle Adams lost his channel too. He's created another one and tags me in all his friggin' videos. Anyways, moving on to base theory.
Yeah, my name's Grayson. Channel is Based Theory. I mainly debate pseudoscience. Yeah, I'm going to be on the Skep Talk with On the Line tomorrow night. It's like a call-in show, so you guys can call in and ask me questions if you wanted to debate more. And I'm going to be co-hosting with Erica from Guts at Gibbon, so that should be pretty fun. So yeah, everyone's welcome to call in with anything that they want to argue with me about, flat Earth or otherwise. I'm also an atheist, and I debate creationism as well. Just debated Nephilim Free, classic OG YouTube creationist. So yeah, that's about it. Witsit, I do still want to have a one-on-one debate with you. I've seen people in the comments here saying that they want that too. So let's set it up, man. I don't know if they read my super chat during the MDD debate or not, but I haven't listened to that yet. So, but I do plan on re-listening back to this debate. I just couldn't tonight.
If Jimmy Snow chimes in talking about his butt, dude, I'm just gonna turn it off. I can't deal with that. Like, anyways, just kidding. Billy bongs a lot. You have any closing remarks? Sorry, I removed you for a while.
No, that's all right.
We had a lot of flat earthers, so I wanted to bring them up.
Well, I actually was a flat earther at one point. It's hard for me to say that too, because most people don't want to admit to that you actually believe in that. But I don't believe in that anymore now. But anyways, so my channel is Billy Bongs a Lot, and I mainly stream on Twitch though, Billy_Bongs a Lot, and I do a lot of just like games, speedrunning Super Mario Brothers. First game, 80%. Doing a little bit of stuff like, any games. Thanks for having me on the show, though. I don't want to take up too much time, though. Thanks for letting me talk, though.
Thank you, Billy. Flatman B, what do you got to share?
Yeah, bro. You seem like a pretty cool dude, man. Appreciate you. Yeah, the Globers could have done better on that debate, man. So little pat on the back to you, because you made those guys look pretty rough, bro. Hopefully they can, get their game together. But yeah, man, love you. God bless you. Stationary topographic plane, unless somebody can tell me otherwise. Peace, man.
Thank you. Just to point out, Caleb disagrees with you. He says Delcos is the worst debater outside of me. So Delcos is a better debater than me, according to Caleb.
Okay.
He's a little butthurt with the debate that we just had. So, anyways, I think he thinks too highly of his debate performance. He should watch the debate tonight and take some pointer lessons from Mercedes, who is going to speak next. Go ahead, Mercedes.
Hey guys, sorry about my mic issues there. Do I sound good now?
You sound good. So if you want to answer the super chat that Robin asked about what you thought about your second debate as part of your closing too, and shout out, I don't think you have a YouTube or anything, but shout out people, whatever you want to do for a short closing.
Yeah, so I kind of do my old one, unfortunately, kind of like Witsit, got killed. But yeah, the Great Awakening on YouTube, I only have like 1 or 2 videos on there, but my main thing is Telegram, and I'm on there as the Outcast Researcher. But yeah, I thought the debate went really well tonight. I thought everyone did pretty well. On the Glober side, I think it could have been a little bit better with Devin than the way he presented himself in some ways. But other than that, I thought the debate went really well, and I thought that Witsit did really well too. So I was glad to have him as a partner tonight, honestly.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure having you on the 2 times you've been on the channel. Talk to you. You're not as confrontational as Witsit and stuff gets, but I love that too. I love the confrontation also. It's sort of why I debate. And Samir, you have any closing?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I believe you guys squeezed Witsit here better than he was squeezed in debate. Also, I just came back to say one thing, and this is for you, Ozen. Check out YouTube for electrical arc at 1,750,000 frame per second. And this will answer the little conflict you had about the electricity traveling from positive to negative or from negative to positive.
But you're still saying they're electrons, so they could still say, even though you see it, those aren't electrons. Some type of plasma. But
there's a downward current on the Earth, guys. Just stop making it weird.
Okay. Well,
I'll post
you're right. All the universities are wrong. All the tests are wrong. Generators are wrong. All the measurements are wrong. What am I thinking?
I'll post a link in the chat. Don't watch it now, people, viewers. Let us close out. Then go click it and watch it. But
no, don't watch it now, of course.
If I just might say, guys, run ZCal on YouTube, debunked relativity. Check it out.
Okay, thank you. But I want to kick
something
everybody...
else. I was back on stage. I just wanted to super chat this, and for some reason, YouTube just refused to accept my super chat.
Well, that's a shame. Ozian, Ozian.live/tips. You can go there. It's in the description if people want to donate cheaper. Anyways, but that's okay. That's okay. Thank you so much, Samir, for coming on the panel and stuff. But for now, I'm going to close the show out. Thank everybody for coming. I'm going to kick everybody off. Thank you. This is so weird to say it that way. But
all right, cool. I just found out that this was a simulation with the antimatter, so good to know we could just dismiss it. All right, love you guys.
Bye, with it.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, Mercedes.
Bye-bye.
All right, thank you. That was a wonderful show today, wasn't it, Max?
Yeah, it's absolutely great when they come over. I really like them more in this setting, that everything is so much more chill and we can have conversations and back and forth. I really enjoy them more here than in the debate. While on the debate, I'm waiting for this show to start. It's amazing.
Yeah. Well, I want to close it out. Thank you so much for the audience for being here. And people are still downstage and want to have a chit chat for a few minutes. I'll bring it back up when we close it out. But I really appreciate it. The channel's growing so much. We just broke 9,000 subs. So it's wonderful. It seems like every one of these shows we do, we get a bunch of subs. We had like 200 viewers at one time. And so like having this in with Modern Day Debate has helped us out. I appreciate everything they've done for us too. But with that, I'm going to close it out, people. Thank you so much for coming. Bye-bye. Oh, like, share, subscribe.